Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. For years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Experience furniture shopping the way it's meant to be at Mathis Home, your ultimate furniture superstore. From sofas to dining sets, from modern to classic styles, they have everything you're searching for. With over 230,000 items to choose from, you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for at a price you'll love. Plus, everything is in stock and ready for fast, free delivery right to your door. So you don't have to wait. And if you're looking to really transform your space, take advantage of our complimentary interior design services. Our expert designers are ready to help with any project, whether big or small. And right now, check out the Lazy Boy BOGO event at Mathis Home, happening now through March 1st, 2025. Buy one Lazy Boy recliner and get another one absolutely free. Don't miss this limited time offer. Only at Mathis Home, your ultimate furniture superstore.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton bedding from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with airy blankets, cloud-like duvets, and breathable sheets. You'll experience pure comfort on night one and feel your bedding get softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first order at bollandbranch.com with code WONDERY15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
This week in Aspen, Colorado, when a socialite who hung around with all sorts of famous people is found horribly murdered, detectives uncover a diabolical plot. But will one confession mess up the whole thing? Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, for joining us today on another insane edition of Small Town Murder, and it's just as insane as it ever was. We have a really, really wild, twisty one today. Some celebrities involved in it, which is weird. Bigger than Sam Donaldson from a few weeks back, too. Like actual, like movie stars and stuff. Yeah, you're like, oh, the guy from TV with the plastic hair. Yeah, that guy. Before we get to that, though, very quickly, just wanted to say, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Tickets for live shows are there. We are Minneapolis, September 20th, State Theater. It's getting close to getting sold out here. Let's be a part of the biggest show ever, the biggest Shut Up and Give Me Murder of all time. Get your tickets right now. We're also in Milwaukee the next night, and get your tickets for the rest of the year because a lot of them are sold out, and a lot of them are almost sold out. So do that, and you certainly also want tickets for the Halloween virtual live show. Spend your Halloween with us. We're going to do it's just like a regular live show, except you are in your living room or wherever the hell you want to watch it, and we are in a studio simulated to be like a live show. Very cool. All the pictures. We dress up in costumes. Be a part of the fun. It's available for 2 weeks after you buy it, too. So you say, I can't watch it that night. No problem. Got you covered 2 weeks after that. So have fun and do that. Shutupandgivememurder.com. You also want patreon.com. /crime in sports is where you get all the bonus material. You listen to Small Town Murder. You listen to Express. You listen to Crime in Sports. You listen to your stupid opinions, and you're like, damn it, it's not enough. Give me more. We have more. Anybody $5 a month or above, you are going to get immediately hundreds of back episodes that you've never heard before of bonus material. New ones every other week. One Crime in Sports, one Small Town Murder. And how much of that do they get, everybody?
You get it all.
You get it all. This week, what you're going to get. For Crime in Sports, we're going to talk about the first steroid user in sports that I know of.
Yeah.
His name was James Pud Galvin. Yeah. And the things that they made steroids out of in 1889 are wild. Let me tell you all about it. So we're going to talk about some of the early performance-enhancing stuff and how what animal's balls it was extracted from. We'll find all about it. And then for Small Town Murder, one of our favorites, we dip back into the archives of old-timey murders, going into the old newspaper archives and hearing some of the wildest tales from murders past here back in the days. So that is so much fun. Patreon.com/crime in sports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show. You can't beat it. That said, time for the disclaimer. It's a comedy show, everybody.
It is.
We're comedians. We're going to make jokes. The story is insanely real. Every story we tell, and there's no detail that's, embellished and brought out to be more for comedic intentions or none of that stuff. It's all insanely and sadly real, honestly. So
very accurate.
People are going to die, and we are going to make jokes. But what we do here to try to make it a little bit tasteful is you never make jokes about the victims, or we don't make jokes about the victims' families.
Why is that, James?
Because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags, and that's how that works. See, it's very easy to do. Tell you what, because there's plenty to make fun of when you're talking about murderers and bumbling police forces and everything you could think of. So we'll talk about all of that. I think it's time, though, right now.
Okay.
I think it's time to sit back. What do you say? Let's all clear the lungs, people. Arms to the sky, and let's all shout, "Shut up and give me murder." Let's do this, everybody.
Okay.
Let's go on a trip, shall we? Let's do it. We are going all the way to Colorado.
Okay.
Here we go. We're going to Aspen, Colorado.
Spread it on.
One of the nicest places that the United States has to offer. A beautiful, beautiful mountain town.
The supposed setting of Dumb and Dumber was not, but
was not. We do have a Dumb and Dumber reference in this, though, in this episode. So this is a place that you're either insanely wealthy or you make hamburgers for the insanely wealthy. There's no in between here.
Or you work in the ski lodge.
There's no in between. There is no middle class. It is rich and serve me my shit so I can maybe give you a pittance to live on, possibly. Like a lot of these places that you work have company housing where they keep their people because if you work, you cannot afford to live here if you work here. There's no way. So this is in western central Colorado. It's about 3 hours and 20 minutes to Denver by car. It's a pretty good drive to Denver.
It's up there in the mountains with Breckenridge and Vail.
It's up there.
All the
ski
amazing
joints.
Places.
About 3 hours and 40 minutes to Boulder. About 4.5 hours to Estes Park, which was our last episode 476, The Missing Psychic Gypsy. By the way, we have sponsored the coffin race there, by the way.
In Manitou,
Yes, if you go to the coffin, you will see the Small Town Murder sponsored thing.
Terrific.
So check that out. We did that. It's pretty neat.
And there's an award, right?
Sarah figured it out, how to come up with it.
It's on the trophy and everything?
Yeah. No, we were like, I think, one of their main sponsors, which is pretty good. So we gave them a few bucks. I mean, mainly just because it was funny, and we talked about them, so we're like, why not? Let's do it. So
go to the coffin races, everybody.
Go do it.
It's around Halloween, isn't it?
It's pretty fun. Yeah, do that. Then get the virtual live show. This is in Pitkin County, which I know more about Pitkin County just from reading copious amounts of Hunter Thompson.
Oh.
And he ran for sheriff, so I know all about the town politics.
He ran for sheriff of Pitkin?
Of Pitkin County. He won the city of Aspen. He lost he won. It was like 55-45. He almost won.
Wow.
For sheriff of.
Not bad.
He shaved his head bald down to the skin, which was crazy in 1970.
That'll get it.
At 71, and told everybody that he would not stop taking mescaline as sheriff. He would not stop smoking pot, and he told them that the only conceit he would make is that he wouldn't do mescaline while on duty.
That's the only reason he lost.
No other conceit, though, which was pretty fucking great, I gotta say. Hilarious. He ran on the Freak Power ticket. which I love. This is in Pitkin County, area code 970. Motto is, "This is no place for ordinary." In other words, the other motto that more people know of is, "You can't fucking afford this," which is more accurate, I believe. Little bit of history of this town. It was originally named Ute City from the Ute tribe. Yeah, that was there. And it was named Aspen, renamed Aspen in 1880. And it was a huge silver mining district. That's why people came here. Nobody gave a shit about skiing in the 1880s. They cared about extracting shit from the ground.
And in them hills, there's stuff to pull out.
There's plenty to pull out. It was in their peak production years of silver mining in 1891, 1892. They surpassed Leadville as the United States' most productive silver mining district.
Wow.
So it should have been called Silverville, I think, not Leadville.
No kidding.
But then production expanded due to the passage of the Sherman Silver Purchase Act of 1890, which doubled the government's purchase of silver. So then everybody was trying to pull silver out because it was very valuable.
That's how you pay off the Civil War.
Absolutely. The Aspen Skiing Company, which is what we know it for now, was founded in 1946. And it became a resort town almost immediately.
Okay.
Its word spread fast. Real fast.
There's good slopes up there.
Rich fuckwits spread shit fast, by the way. We'll talk about it because rich people, this level of rich people that like own homes in Aspen and all that, it's the same circle. They go from place to place. They go to Aspen, then they go to St. Croix, they go to the Amalfi Coast, they go to they don't go to West Palm.
But I mean, they started West Palm probably.
No, these are cool people. They don't sit
Tulum people.
They don't sit in Florida like old farts. They do. I'm talking like jet setter people, south of France, places like that. West Palm would be like, am I visiting my grandpa? Why am I going to West Palm? Not golf people. These are
all right,
like movie star people.
Yeah.
Cool people.
I got it. Yeah.
So
yacht people.
Yacht people, exactly. Not fart people. So they became there. They hosted fart people, old farts.
I get it, but that just sounds so funny.
It is fart people.
It triggered my brain 3 sentences into your next topic. I apologize.
Hey, works for me.
I'm so far behind.
I'll take a laugh where I can get it. I don't give a fuck. I'm a comic. I'll take a laugh whenever it comes. I don't give a shit. So they hosted the FIS World Championships in 1950, which I think is the Federation of International Skiing, I think that is.
Okay.
And they also brought the Geoth Bicentennial Convocation to Aspen. I don't know what the hell that is. It's notable as the smallest radio market tracked by Arbitron, which is the ratings system for radio. It is ranked number 302. It's the smallest market they do. So it's very interesting, actually. Their radio station is called K-Jax, which is it just made me laugh. The Winter X Games has been held at Buttermilk in Aspen, and Buttermilk is a huge part of our story today because the people involved started Buttermilk since 2002. They also have a rugby team, which I didn't know about. The Gentlemen of Aspen are the rugby team.
Yeah.
They won the Rugby Super League in 97, 2001, and 2002. So
they did well. Huh?
They do well. Here's a bunch of famous people that lived in Aspen, and this is a short list.
There's forget it. Yeah.
Way more, but people that are known for really spending a lot of time here. Yeah. John Denver, obviously. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. When they're not in Malibu at their beach house, they're in their Aspen Mountain retreat. Don Johnson.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Singing Heartbeat off of his balcony throughout the Heartbeat, just fucking throughout the valley. Jack Nicholson, very famously, lives here a lot. Robert Wagner, and of course, my favorite, Hunter S. Thompson from this area.
Robert Wagner, is that right?
Oh, yeah, very rich and famous.
Burying bitches in the snow.
Hunter Thompson lived, well, in the ocean, but we'll take, he's like,
here,
how deep is that snow, is what he said.
What
are we talking about?
In the ocean way too easy.
What are we talking about here? Like 10 feet, 3 feet? What are we doing? Hunter Thompson actually lived in Woody Creek, though, which isn't Aspen proper. It's a little town off of there. He lived like out in the middle of nowhere on his own, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I
bet it's not out in the middle anymore.
This it probably is because the guy who owned it owned a fuckload of acres in this one area. And
okay.
he was a big part of what Hunter Thompson was trying to do. One of the things they were doing when they were running for sheriff and doing all that was to try to make it so they couldn't develop it anymore. Because he kept calling it the land rape, because it was developers would come in, buy up the valleys and put up condos, block all the views and make traffic and do all that shit. So they were trying to make it just for the people who, you know, had decided to live there before it was becoming a big thing. So that's how it worked. 5 stars here. Let's do some reviews. Okay. 5 stars. As someone who grew up here, I take a lot of pride in calling Aspen my hometown. Imagine growing up in Aspen.
What?
Wow. To many people, when they hear Aspen, they think of glitz and glam, rich people, skiing, celebrities, and world-famous views. But I always thunk about my childhood, and he said thunk.
Thunk? Oh, boy.
Always thunk about my childhood and having so much fun here. Well, the I is next to the U also. My family was never or still isn't part of that percent of rich folk, yet we call ourselves ski bums. My parents met working for the skiing company here and lived in employee housing. See what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
This person grew up in company housing like a 1920s coal miner.
Wow.
Now it's very difficult to find affordable housing unless you're rich or working for the skiing company or living with roommates. I love being able to experience life here and enjoying the seasons here, but things have slowly been changing with the way things are run here. Millionaires are being pushed out by billionaires, which is an unfortunate and wild thing to say.
That is crazy.
That's the way it is, though. It's fucking crazy.
Holy shit.
4 stars. This doesn't have much to do with the town, but it's a very specific complaint here. Okay. Beautiful area with amazing views. Just don't stay at Aspen Mountain Lodge.
What's there?
Staff walks into rooms without knocking. Well, that's not good.
No, they don't.
How you doing? Your tits out? Nice to see
you.
You
get your ass kicked for that.
And very loud due to people upstairs from my room. Horrible experience, which really doesn't have much to do with Aspen.
Well, what were they doing up there?
No shit. Well, maybe it would have been a better experience if they were having some fun. So here's 3 stars, and this is the worst review we could find at all here.
3 stars.
3 stars.
Down, man.
Aspen is an amazing place to live. Beautiful views, amazing outdoor activities, and friendly locals.
Oh. Really?
They're so wealthy, they better be friendly. Jesus Christ, how happy are you?
They assume that we're all haves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, look, you're here. You got money, too.
You're doing great also. Wonderful. The restaurant scene is world-class as well. I would assume it would have to be, considering all the very wealthy people. It is a tiny little city surrounded by the beauty of the Rocky Mountains. Really, the only problem with it is the skyrocketing housing market. It has become impossible for most of Aspen's workforce to live even close to the city, and even then, still need to have 4 roommates to afford it. We need more rent-controlled and subsidized housing to support the workforce that we need to provide service to our guests.
4 roommates,
4
like
roommates.
Silicon Valley.
Yes, and by the way, the Owl Farm you can visit now. I think they have like tours and shit like that of Hunter Thompson's place, and it is out in the middle of nowhere there.
Yeah?
Yeah, it is pretty much still out there, because that's when they did remember Johnny Depp paid to have his ashes shot off that mountain behind his house? Right. That was all like his property and the guy who owned it before him. People in this town, 7,109. So not that many. And I don't know how many of those are seasonal. I don't know how many permanents.
Stays, yeah.
We don't know.
Those might just be owners, James, that don't even spend any fucking time.
Who the hell knows? Yeah. More males than females by a slight amount, which is obviously not normal. Usually a few more females than males. Median age is about 41.2, which is younger than I thought it would be. With all the very rich people, I thought it would be more. But the most, 45 to 54 is like a quarter of the population here. That's where people are like, they have money and they're still
fun to spending. Yeah.
Well, they're still ambulatory enough to ski, I think is what it is.
And they're still hip to want to be seen in a fun place.
Yeah, once you're like 65, you're like, I don't care anymore. Fuck off. Don't need to be cool. So
I'll sit here with my heater.
About 45% are married in this town, which is slightly below. 7% are single with children, which is below the national average. So it's a lot of wealthy families that stay together here. Race in this town, about 85.5% white, 1.9% black, 3.3% Asian, and 8.3% Hispanic. The unemployment rate here is about fit with the national average. It's pretty much the same thing. Median household income here, though, and this, I assume, is dragged way down by most of the people that are here are servicing the wealthy people. The median household income is $94,338.
Oh, my God.
I would love to know the median household income of homeowners in this town, because I bet that is
And I'd
well
love to know
that.
the median income of just the people that only do service industry.
That too,
shit here.
because I think theirs is way low.
Is if they're $94,000 to be a barista.
No.
Goodbye, James. This show's over.
I think they make 18 grand, and that brings
And then you
down
got
somebody
with
else's
2 million.
400 grand average is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Let's see. Cost of living, 100 is regular. Here it is 220.
Good
And cost of
Lord.
living. Housing is a 769.8.
Okay. This is stupid.
769.8.
It's fucking ruined, man. It's
Median-
over. Start over.
Median home cost $2,994,800.
$3
Median.
million.
Median home
Unbelievable.
cost. That is bonkers. So if you have been saving up an extreme amount of money, if you are the CEO of some international fuckwit conglomerate, we have for you the Aspen, Colorado Real Estate Report. Okay, your average two-bedroom rental here. Two-bedroom rental, mind you.
$6 grand.
5,820. You were kidding.
I'm fucking being an asshole.
You were being completely exaggerating, and you nailed it.
Holy shit.
Next up here, for your home, here's a one-bedroom, one-bath, 718 square foot condo. It's an apartment, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a tiny apartment.
And it's attached to others.
It's definitely attached to others. You're butted directly right outside your door is like a high school sports field. And I'm talking like you're in the end zone. If you sat outside your front door, you will catch overthrown touchdown passes.
You're going to get hit by a wide receiver that can't slow down.
Yeah, extra points are going right in your living room window.
Shit.
So it's very weird. This would be for like the poor people here. It is $67,000 for this somehow, which seems cheap, honestly.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a great place to live, it seems
It's
like anything
inconvenient
there.
as fuck, but yeah.
You know, something. Here is a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, T-bowl for all your beeholes there.
Yeah.
5,109 square feet. It's on 2 acres.
Oh my God.
It's a giant, really rich person log cabin. That's all it is. It's a log cabin made for rich people. Like, look at us. We're roughing it in our 5,100 square foot.
We're so rustic.
It's ridiculous. This is from the listing. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood and brought you home to Castle Creek. This serene fairy tale estate located on the stunning headwaters of Castle Creek.
It's got a name.
It's ridiculous. $8,500,000. Which,
man.
if you charge over $5 million, you better fucking name that shit. I want them to think I'm buying something that's like important with a name for that kind of money.
Yeah.
Next up.
I need poor people Bubble Hill.
Totally. Next up, 5-bedroom, 9-bath.
Yeah.
T-bowls for
What
all
the
neighbors'
shit,
beeholes.
surplus.
8,207 square feet. By the way, the last house was on 2 acres.
Yeah.
This house is on 0.93 acres, okay?
Not even an acre.
Not even an acre. Huge house. It's very expensive, and it doesn't look great, honestly. It's pretty bland. It's pretty boring. The listing says, one of the finest homes ever built in Aspen. This estate, located at 64 Pitkin Way, more than lives up to the caliber of its address. This house is $49,500,000.
For an acre of land with a house on it.
$49,500,000.
That makes sense.
The house in Connecticut was way nicer. The one that was
Way nicer. For
$800,000.
$700,000.
It was the same amount of land. So there you go. This place is insane, is what this says to
Wow.
me. You cannot live here. You can't be
I
a
can't
person and live
understand
here.
that. Yeah.
You can't. Things to do here, I mean, besides count your money or scramble for every dime to be able to pay your rent this month.
Either giggle all day or cry all day.
Either laugh all day or pick up extra shifts. Those are your options. But here is the Aspen Music Festival.
Okay.
And it sounds fun, but it seems like something that we wouldn't really enjoy because it's fancy music. So we wouldn't know
it's
much
jazz
about
and
it.
shit.
Nearly 500 young artists come to Aspen to play in 4 orchestras, sing, conduct, compose, and study more than 100 artist faculty members who come from the orchestras of Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Dallas, the Metropolitan Opera, and the leading conservatories and music schools. We would be bored shitless of this.
How many people? Because that seems like all the orchestras, right?
5, yeah, it's everybody. Alumni of the Aspen program include, and there's a huge paragraph, and I've only heard of the last person on the list, and she's not a musician that I know of. The violinist Joshua Bell, Sarah Chang, Gil Schramm, Robert McDuff. Ever heard of any of these people?
No.
And they go all the way down the list, and at the end, it says, and former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Don't know why. Doesn't say she plays an instrument because they have under instruments.
She plays a piccolo or some shit?
No idea. Doesn't say she plays shit. She just shows up and hangs out. There's also the Snowmass Balloon Festival, which is tons of balloons, exactly what it sounds like. It's a hot air balloon festival, and spectators are encouraged to drive in, hike, bike, walk around to take in the sights from where the balloons take flight. So there you go. You can go do that. They'll launch from the air at 7:30 a.m., which means I'll be sleeping through that and won't care about it at all.
It's the best time to fly a balloon.
I'm sure it is.
Morning.
Maybe that's why I'll never be on a hot air balloon.
Yeah. Well, it's in the morning or at night, depending on, because you want the cool air, because then it drops the balloon.
Yeah. Well, here it says, too, that this at nighttime they have a night glow one, too, where I guess they put lights on the balloons or whatever. Who gives a shit?
It's got a fucking torch in it that glows.
Crime rate, it better be 0 for this kind of money. Let's put it that way. Property crime, almost double the national average.
Yeah.
Almost double, but that's like in the town, and it's also like a party town. People come here to party and shit like that.
You also got to pay your rent, so I might be checking if cars are unlocked.
Might be jacking some shit.
Yeah.
Violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and of course assault. The Mount Rushmore of crime is only about 1/3 of the national average, so very low there. Yeah, they're not putting up with that shit. And this week with our murder here, at one point the district attorney says, this doesn't happen here. And it won't. And if it does, the force of all that is wealthy will come down upon it. I was given one thing, no crime, they told me when they put me in charge here.
Rich people are mad at me right now.
You don't want them mad at you. They never stop. They never stop breaking balls. So murder, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some murder here. Okay. Let's start out with a couple of very, very successful folks here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start out with Art and Betty Pfister. And Pfister, yes, we know. Yeah. Pfister is PFI, like the faucets.
Right.
So, or toilets or whatever.
Yeah, the fixtures.
Yeah. I said, everybody get your ha-has in on Pfister. Let's get him out of the way now.
Pfister, like the Pfister fixtures.
Yes.
The fixtures.
The fixtures and the hotels in Hotel in Milwaukee. So they are a big part of the creation of modern Aspen, by the way.
Really?
Art and Betty Pfister. In 1958, Art was a founding partner of the Buttermilk Ski Area, which is where they hold the X Games.
Right?
I'm not sure. Well, we'll talk about it. I don't know. These two seem like they kind of made their own way, him and his wife. Okay. So big deal there. It's him and his wife, Betty. Now, they have daughters. Suzanne is the oldest. Okay. About 3 years later, they have a middle daughter, Nancy Merle Pfister. She's born July 4th, 1956. So to give you an idea. Yeah. And then a couple years younger than her is Christina Pfister, who's the youngest. There's 3 sisters altogether, no sons.
All Pfister sisters.
The Pfister sisters. Fist them sisters. About the sister Fisters. Oh, you guys are the Pfister sisters? What a coincidence. We're the sister Fisters. You know that happened at some point when they met 3 guys.
Yes.
They met 3 guys. Really? What a coincidence.
You're in luck.
You know it happened. So a little bit about the parents here.
Yeah.
Art is a Minnesota native. He was a fighter pilot in World War II.
Golly.
Which is cool as fuck. He's a goddamn awesome fucking badass hero guy.
Hell yeah.
He became a file folder salesman. Now, if you
What?
Okay, I'm going to say the most exciting thing you could possibly do would be a fighter pilot in World War II, like dogfighting and shit. The least exciting thing you could do is sell file folders. I can't imagine. That sounds like a joke. Like, what am I going to go move to fucking Ohio and sell file folders? Sounds like what Tony Soprano used to say when Carmela wanted to go in the program.
Sounds to me, though, like maybe World War II broke this man, and he's like, I want zero excitement for the rest of my life.
No, you would think so, but no. Yeah. That's the crazy part. Well, he worked for the Smead Manufacturing Company. In his 30s, they have to have money because in his 30s, he relocated to Aspen, but kept his sales job. So I don't know. He must be like the top file folder man in the country because he makes a shitload of money, too. In 1954, he bought a 700-acre ranch at the time named the Lazy Chair Ranch.
In Aspen?
In Aspen for $30,000.
That's good money back then.
It's $500,000 back then, but that would be worth
crazy
untold fucking
more than
tens of millions. That's what I mean, untold. And 4 years later, he launched the Buttermilk Ski Area. That was his thing. So he owned it lock, stock, and fucking barrel.
No kidding.
Which, I mean, this is a very famous, very profitable area to be an owner of that sort of thing. He's a renowned horseman.
Sure.
Known for driving a thirsty head of cattle once through the middle of Aspen so they could drink from the town's lawn sprinklers.
Wow.
He's like a cowboy.
Yeah.
He's like a rich guy, but he's also a cowboy, but he's also a fighter pilot. Like this guy is like
real man.
He should be like if you want to put someone like on the American flag, it would be like that's the guy. He's a fighter pilot. He's driving. He's like a cowboy. This is what people think of.
Marlboro Man.
Yeah. When people think of like an old school kind of American kind of an iconic kind of guy, you go, that's the guy right there. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right, let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going, look good out there, and you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable, and you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmy's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Come on, be like us. Be fashionable. Get in there with Quince. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
He was on now. This is where it gets also funny because he's also believes in some shit that is a little wishy-washy, which is also distinctly American to believe in crazy shit.
Yeah.
He said that he called himself a water witcher. Okay. These are people
sticks, like divining rods?
Yes, these are people who claim to be able to locate pools of water beneath the earth using dowsing is what they call it. Yes. Dowsing will give you a definition of it from the internet here. This is from the usgov.org, I believe this is, or whatever, or usgov.gov or whatever the fuck it is. Water dowsing refers in general to the practice of using a forked stick, rod, or pendulum or similar device to locate underground water, minerals, or other hidden or lost substances, and has been the subject of discussion and controversy for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yes,
well,
it's you take two sticks, shaped like L's, and you pretend to do something with them, and then...
You got to charge them up, James.
Yeah, and then if you say here, and there, one of the 10 works because you picked it out of your ass, people go, well, it works, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
if you, they got to be copper or metal of some sort that conduct, not conduct electricity, but they have to be able to be magnetic. So you can't use aluminum. They have to be magnetic because anything that flows creates a magnetic field. So if it's flowing underground,
Jimmie,
you can find it.
You're saying it like it's a science thing, though.
I've done it. I swear to fuck, it works.
But I'm sure. But what the thing is, though, they've done science about it. It's completely a complete crypto science. It's not real.
Okay.
Let's be honest. They've done.
All right.
Again, well, let's not be the crazy people.
Okay.
I know we're going to get messages. No, dowsing. I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But I don't think that. Okay. What I'm saying is they're saying it's like a special power to be able to do it.
No.
Not just a thing. It's not just anybody can pick up these two sticks and use them as tools. That's what I mean. That would be something where I would go, okay, I believe in that. But when someone says you have to have a gift for it and a power, then I say no, that seems crazy.
One. Yeah.
He called himself a gifted water witcher, which...
No.
And his wife claimed to have the same powers. Or not his wife, his daughter Nancy had the same powers, she said.
She got them.
She inherited the water witching powers. Now, I'm sure we're going to have people that say they've done it before. Great. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what we got here. So Betty, the mom here, Art's wife, when she was 19, her parents took her to an air show in Vermont where her father told her there's no way that you're going to go up in one of those small planes because she said, I want to go in one of those planes. And the guy said, get the fuck. A 1919 air show, or I think it was 1930s or something, but still, that's a precarious air show. You know what I mean?
In the 30s?
They're precarious now.
You're going to show off?
Yeah, just be impressed that it goes in the sky to where you want it to go. So her parents left. She circled back and snuck back in and paid $1 and flew up in the airplane because she wanted to do it.
Wow.
So this got her super into airplanes, and she enrolled in flying lessons. This is in the 30s. Not a lot of women doing flying lessons here. And later studied marine biology at Bennington College and became a women airfare service pilot in World War II.
Is that right? What did they do?
They all sorts of different shit. They were
goods and services, and
flying, delivering drinks to the guys, things like that. No, I'm just kidding.
Bringing an ice cold beer over.
They were really, really integral in the whole war effort too. And she later worked as a Pan Am stewardess, which was highly sought after job back then, and was also then a successful competitive pilot. She retired as a 2-time winner of the all-women's international air race from Montreal to Florida.
Jesus.
She's a competitive pilot. So these two are winners. Art and Betty don't fuck around. They win.
No kidding.
They
she chose doers. As like a hobby, but also career path that's like incredibly expensive.
Incredibly dangerous at the time.
Lucrative if you're doing it for pay.
And also gives you a social... People are impressed by it. You know what I mean? It's socially impressive.
An air of impressiveness,
Yeah. In the 1960s, she helped organize the Pitkin County Air Rescue Group, which flew helicopters on rescue missions during avalanches.
Hell yeah.
So these people, at least they're using their money and influence for decent things here. Now, when the kids were growing up, Betty kept a brightly painted chopper, fucking helicopter, called the Tinkerbell in the driveway all the time. And she would just go out, get in the driveway, get in the chopper, and go fly away.
Go up.
And go up and go. That was it. Mom's leaving.
Wow.
And she'd fly away. I was like, that's amazing.
Mom's back with the groceries.
I worry about my mother when she drives to the grocery store. She's an awful driver. This lady's just flying away. Oh, wow. That'd be scary to have either of my parents in an aircraft at this point. So... my father'd probably be fine, but still, my mother would crash quickly.
He might fix it in the air.
He'd probably figure it out. Yeah, he'd figure it out. It's kind of like a motorcycle. He'd figure out some kind of. He would.
Just a few more pistons. It's all right.
That's all right. We got this lever here, and you got the I go up as much as I go this way. All right.
Yeah.
As much thrust as I have.
It's got to combust. It's fine.
It's fine. It's still an engine. So in 1984, Betty was inducted into the Colorado Aviation Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, and also 26 years after that, along with 1,000 other people from the WASP program, the women flying in World War II, she received a Congressional Gold Medal, which was one of America's 2 highest civilian honors.
Awesome.
And when she was in her 70s, she went to Australia to go bungee jumping. This is a bad bitch. This is a bad bitch right here. Yeah, she's Betty. Don't fuck around. Black Betty don't mess around. She is doing what she wants.
And bungee jumping back then was like precarious too, because those things broke a lot.
Oh shit! Yeah, he didn't. Well,
the early ones were frightening.
In the 2000s, this is she went. She was in her 70s, not in the 70s. In her 70s. Yeah. Art eventually sold his share of the mountain to the Aspen Skiing Company, and his other holdings were developed into the Maroon Creek Golf and Tennis Club.
He has so much money.
Big fucking money. Yeah. Big money. Now, they leave behind their fortune later on to their daughters, and we'll talk about that. Now, their daughters, Suzanne and Nancy, lived across the road from each other.
Yeah.
And Christina moved to Denver. So that's how we got this. Now, a friend of Art and Betty said this about them. Nancy's mother, because they were talking about Nancy in the context of daughter Nancy, Nancy's mother and father were very substantial and accomplished people. And these are people who grew up with them, and said Art and Betty were good at just about everything they did except parenting, which they never seemed that interested in. Which I was going to say, all of these things that we're talking about, none of these things involve the children, the family, none of them. These are all, we're accomplishing things, and I bet they have people watching their kids because they're busy accomplishing things and doing things. And so that's an interesting deal here. And the daughters are very different from each other, too. And we'll talk about it. Here's Nancy now. We'll talk about Nancy. She's the most adventurous of the crew.
Hell yeah.
By far. She apparently had a lot of allergies when she was a kid, including to horses, but she didn't care. She still loved horses.
She put up with it.
She put up with it. Didn't give a fuck. She had a nag named Mark, and she rode him all over the country there, even though she would be sneezing the entire time. She'd just be on the hillside sneezing, constantly wiping her nose. I love you, Mark. Achoo. Oh, God.
Right in your mane. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. She liked going outdoors. She'd hike the trails behind the family home because they live on a fucking mountain. It's ridiculous. She'd go swimming in the lakes and go hunting for wild mushrooms and go fly fishing with her mother and all that kind of shit.
Colorado shit.
Colorado rich people shit. Colorado, I don't have to work today shit.
For sure.
So
no work today.
No. They said that she either dressed really casual, like I'm just came from the woods.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the style up there, is like that rich chic is like, dress like a woods person. That's like cool while you're up there. Either that or
clean cowboy.
No. Like, fucking
prospector.
Not prospector. No, like mountain person who isn't wealthy. That's how they dress. That's how the rich people dress up there a lot of times.
Dirty.
Like, not dirty but clean, but like a flannel shirt. You know what I mean? Okay. Like they shop at LL Bean for their shit. You know. That kind of shit.
Got it. Yeah.
So
like a Ralph Lauren flannel.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Not dirty, fancy dirty. Their version of slumming it for outfit wise.
Sure.
Yeah. So she either dressed real casual and like with boots on and like I just came out of the woods, or they said she would dress in like high end Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber style shit. Yeah, like literally that she would wear. Fringes and hat and silver and like insane fucking gaudy shit like that. One or the other. Those are her two. Those are her two looks.
It is amazing.
It's amazing. That's why I said later on, I was like, oh, he'll come up. Don't worry. One woman who lived in Aspen said that Nancy didn't wear makeup. She didn't comb her hair very often. She didn't dress up. She didn't care about any of that and could look quite disheveled and unkempt. She was like, I'm rich and I don't have to clean up. She wore this attitude like a badge. This is what I'm talking about. The very, very wealthy people, they don't give a fuck with their appearances because they're like, I don't, you know me and you know how wealthy I am. So
yeah,
I don't care what you think of me.
You know my name.
Yep. That's a different level of rich.
Right.
Where you don't even care. You'll have shit all over you. You don't even give a shit. So they said she liked to have fun. She liked to do her own thing. By the way, there's a book that a lot of this came out of it. I'll give you the title at the end because if I gave it to you now, it would tell you the entire case of what happened. Yeah. So got to give it to you at the end. But it's a good book and you should check it out. So nothing to take away from it. So she wanted everybody to know she was having fun. She, by the way, was very different from her two sisters in terms she's blonde. They have dark hair. She acts different than them completely. Apparently blondes have more fun in Aspen.
I've been told that, yeah.
Suzanne and Christina are much more conservative, low-key. Suzanne was a real estate broker, and Christina was the president of the Silver Queen Select Collection of furs, cashmere, linens, and bath products. Whatever the fuck. Shit for rich twats, I think
She's the president of that? She's the what?
President of a company, Silver Queen Collection, which I think sells
that shit.
High-end shit to rich
sells
twats.
Cashmere, for Christ's sake.
They sell furs, cashmere, linens, and bath products. In other words, $300 facial creams and shit like that. So,
$1,200 fucking robes.
Yes. Nancy never really worked places. She worked for her dad for a bit in the family business. She would tell people that she was an architect or a producer for entertainment stuff, shit like that. She said she was a Buddhist and she would have like Eastern philosophy stuff and Tibetan prayer flags up in her room and shit like that. Yeah, just, upper crusty stuff here. Her sisters, though, were, like I said, very different, just very, very different. She was the one that if anybody was going to get in any trouble, it would be Nancy as far as just from being with the wrong people or being in the wrong place at the wrong time, whereas her sisters go to work and they come home and they sit there and they don't do shit. But they do say that, and this I heard from many different sources, when people would go abroad from Aspen, they go to the south of France or go to one of these, rich fuckwit places where they all gather. They would say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Aspen." Someone would say, "Do you know Nancy Pfister?" She knew everybody. She's the mayor. Social, but I mean these because she's been abroad. She's a huge world traveler.
Oh wow!
And these people, like I said, there's like 6 spots in the world where they all go, and they all go at the same time because that's the season or a certain week or whatever it is, and they all go at the same time. They all know each other. I read in Anthony Bourdain's book, Medium Raw. He talks about when he was in the worst of his alcoholism and drugs and everything. He met some rich lady down in the islands down there, and she was one of these people who knew everybody from, we'll go to this island. I have Russian friends with a house we can use. And
wow.
He said she wore like $300 plain white T-shirts. Like she looked, casual as fuck, but she was wearing $10,000 worth of shit, like stuff like that. That's the way these people are.
Not a logo on this lady, and she spent $10,000 on this shit.
Yes, the way he put it was, he said, at the time I thought, wow, that T-shirt costs more than everybody in the kitchen I worked in makes in a week. That's crazy. That's wild. But they do. They all know the same people and travel in the same circles. She goes everywhere and knows everybody. She's a big international traveler. She used to travel the world with her friend Anita Thompson, and if that sounds familiar, that's Hunter Thompson's last wife.
Oh, his
last
widow.
Wife before he died, Anita. And if you know, there's Sandy was the one in the 60s and 70s that he wrote about, and Anita was the one, if you read his writings from the 90s and 2000s, it was always Anita around. And so they were like traveling partners, these two. They ran together. And they like to go out and do, nature shit and all that kind of shit. So everybody said about Nancy, she was friends with like literally princes and princesses and shit like that. And also would hang out with the service industry people too.
Interesting.
Yeah, like she'll go smoke a joint behind the fucking fancy reception hall with the service staff and then go in and talk to some some countess from somewhere. You know what I mean? That's how she is. So she sounds pretty cool and seems to live a pretty fun life, it seems like.
It's very relatable. She knows how to relate to people of all kinds of income level and class. Yeah. That's impressive.
People said she doesn't come across as stuck up at all or anything like that. She said her sister Christina said whenever she would travel around the world, she would run into people that knew her sister.
Oh.
She could be in Nepal. She'd find somebody who knew her sister there. Like that's
She's
how.
having a croissant and they charge her card and go, oh, what a last name. Do you know Nancy Pfister?
She said that I would travel the world and inevitably when I would say to people I'm from Aspen, they would say, oh, then you must know Nancy Pfister. Wow. And then some fabulous or hysterical story would ensue. That's from her sister. Oh, she's
how
great.
Cool your sister is.
Wow. I guess she hung around with not only Anita, but with Hunter too, with Hunter Thompson in this. She was part of the group here. One person here, a historian who was friends with Nancy and said, quote, she was an integral member of Hunter's extended family. So she's always at the owl farm and everything else too. She said she's got a spontaneity, a hunger for new experiences. She would go to the Far East all the time, South America. She'd go all across Europe. She'd go everywhere. She would go to Paris to watch the French Open. She watched the French Open in Paris with Roman Polanski, which she's lucky. Ooh. She's lucky she's above age and her butthole is put away because if you that's the fucked up part because Roman Polanski, when you read about it, you go, oh, I mean, he was from a European guy. Maybe he didn't know better. But then when you hear the details of what happened, dude, it's bad.
That's a bad guy.
It's not good. It ain't fucking good.
I think if he touches U.S. soil, he's under arrest, right?
Absolutely. I think, I don't know, maybe they might have dismissed it now. But everybody also, if his wife wasn't butchered by the Manson family, I think people would have.
He'd have so much more sympathy.
So much less sympathy. Yeah. People gave him a pass because of that. I really think that. They were like, oh, but he's so sad. So let's.
And his baby.
And his baby.
So much. Yeah.
And all that shit. So she also flew to Africa with Angelica Houston.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Morticia Addams herself.
That's right. She was called Aspen's ambassador to the world, what people called her.
Jesus.
And Aspen's welcome wagon, and also Aspen's golden girl.
How much money does she have, James?
We'll talk about it in a second, actually, 2 seconds. But she dated Jack Nicholson for a while.
Hell yeah, that a girl.
That is fucking awesome.
That's the coolest.
Later on, they said that she kept thinking of Jack wistfully and never quite got over him. And I'm like, of course she didn't. It's Jack fucking Nicholson. Of course
I haven't dated him, and I'm not over him.
That's what I mean. She dated
breaks
Jack.
My heart every day.
Oh my God, I love the story of Hunter Thompson leaving the elk heart on Jack Nicholson's doorstep. He thought it was a fun, like joke, a fun. Hey, I'll leave in a box. He put it in a box, and he went to Jack Nicholson's house at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
and he said he fucking left it there on the door and was banging on the door. No one answered, so he just left it there.
Oh, my God.
And then he found out the next day that the FBI was there and all this shit because Jack found it and thought it was some kind of threat. So, like, the FBI was there and investigating it. And he was like,
as you would.
Jack, that was me, dude. Sorry. Just trying to fuck around.
You left an animal part on my fucking doorstep.
A bloody elk heart in a box. So he took that as a threat.
Yeah, somebody's going to take my heart.
That is fucking hilarious. So, there were people who... Not everybody liked her, obviously, but, nobody's perfect. Now, the sisters do not have a lot of cash. That's the thing.
Really?
They are kind of cash poor. A friend of theirs said those 3 sisters couldn't buy a roll of toilet paper without getting Andy Hecht's permission. That was the person who runs their trust.
Oh.
So they have a trust. Nancy acted as though she had access to far more money than she really did. She was like Paris Hilton, but without the Hilton. So
Al and Betty put together this plan that they have like an allowance probably.
They have, exactly.
To try
they have
to stretch
clear...
it as far as they can.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's just they didn't want to just give, here you go, here's millions and millions of dollars.
Go fuck this up, would you?
Yep. Now, Nancy did go to college. She went to, for a while, she went to the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, but then dropped out and returned home at about 20 and helped run the family business and did some of that stuff. Nancy also, in the 80s, she helped build schools in both Nepal and India, doing charity work. And she brought a 12-year-old boy named Hemlal back to Aspen and had him educated in Aspen.
Unbelievable.
She imported a Hemlal in to just, I don't even, lucky. That's not even a stereotype. I don't even know what that is, like what he is or where he's from. Yeah. No idea. No clue. Hemlal.
I just know he doesn't speak the language, and he's the luckiest sumbitch on the planet.
He's probably not blonde, I'll assume. Right. Other than that, I don't know.
Right up until Angelina Jolie's kids. It's the luckiest kid in America.
Jesus. In 1985, Nancy flew down to Argentina and got knocked up from a guy down there that she knew.
She was having a good time.
She wanted to get pregnant apparently, okay. And she had her only had Juliana from that, and that was in 1986. Juliana's born, and Nancy and Goldie Hawn had their baby showers together. She had her baby shower with Goldie fucking Hawn. That means Kurt Russell was there with his hair just kicking it, hanging out, the rust. Come on.
Was it Kate Hudson? It's probably Kate Hudson,
it's not.
Right?
It's Goldie, and because Kate Hudson is Goldie's kid, not Kurt's kid.
Oh,
Hudson is her ex-husband.
Yeah.
That's where she came
so
from.
She's older.
This
than
is Goldie and Kurt's kid Wyatt that they had. So yeah,
he had a kid named Wyatt before he was in Tombstone
in '86. Yes,
that's amazing.
Isn't that interesting? That's very
Who
fucking
knew that?
So he must have been very into that shit. So,
he got that call and he was like, "I'll take it.
I need to have that
part." Is this the call for Tombstone?
He probably started
in New York. Whatever. I'll take that too.
I really want to make a movie about Wyatt Earp, guys. I mean,
could you please?
Shit here. So she had never been married, and she did that here. The guy was an ex-polo player in Argentina that she was impregnated by. She was a member of the Roaring Fork School District PTA, and she raised her children as a single mother in a log home her father built for her in 1991. We'll talk about, when I say in a log home her father built for her, you picture like a 1,200 square foot little
Lincoln's home,
little swirl of smoke coming out the top, right? Like a little cabin. It is not a little cabin. This is
like a straw roof.
Holy shit. We'll talk about the house. But Nancy is wild. We'll talk about too. She used to brag to her friends, "I own the Aspen airport." Meaning that she could do whatever she wanted because everybody knew her. She used to bring like weed and edibles and shit on board flights back in the day before you could do that really. Yeah. International flights she would do.
Oh, boy.
She didn't care. She's so like well known internationally. She's like, I'll get out of it. It's fine.
I'll bring a few joints. It'll be all right.
Yep. She was just Aspen royalty. Like she at one point went out of the country without a passport. And
what?
And got through it and got home.
And got back.
Somehow. That's rich. That's rich.
Truly.
When you can do that.
That's frequent flying, man.
If you you'd just crumble to the ground and sob if you lost your passport, right? Because you know you're never getting home now and you're going to die in fucking wherever I am.
We fly a lot. I don't think I've seen the same person at the airport ever.
No, never. You have to be really well known. You have to have connections in government and shit like that. Where if you're very wealthy in Aspen, you do. Sure. So she would. She also tried to figure out how to fly small aircraft and did shit like that. They always said if something was about to go sideways, she'd change her plans and catch the next flight home. She could always do that. She's very flexible. She just basically did whatever she wanted to. I mean, she just lived her life as the world is my oyster, which sounds fun as fuck. Sounds really fun.
Sounds like it is.
One of her friends said, quote, "She was magical. When you were around her, you could feel that." She's one of these people that can get away with anything. Some people in Aspen said that over time, she would hang out with lower people. She would hang out with kind of dirt bags, and they were kind of worried about her. They thought she was getting into drugs and stuff because she would hang out with like dirt bags. I think she was just slumming for the day, probably. Yeah. You know, she likes drugs here and there, and I don't know about how hard of a drug. We know she likes weed and she likes booze. If she was hanging out at the Thompson house, I'll tell you what, every drug on earth was available.
She's expanding her mind a bit.
A bit, yeah. So I would imagine so. She said, she had a lot of affairs with guys and stuff, but she's a single lady having fun.
She's tasted magenta, man. Let her be.
What are you going to do? In 2007, Art dies.
Oh,
at 96 years old.
Atta boy.
This son of a bitch did it all and lived to be 96. Wow. What a life. Fucking Art. We salute you. What a goddamn life you had.
Yeah, and fought the Kaiser, man.
Holy shit. No, he fought Hitler. Never mind the Kaiser. No, World War II. For him.
My Christ.
Yeah, he fought Hitler. Even better. Now, Betty, the mother, was diagnosed with dementia about a year after that.
Okay.
Pretty strong case of dementia. So
about a year after?
About a year after Art died. She's like 91 at the time, I believe, or 90. Yeah. Nancy becomes her primary caregiver, and Betty will die in 1990.
Okay.
So that's how that goes.
Wait, now, Betty died in 1990?
She died at 90 in 2011.
There we go. Okay.
There we go. Sorry about that. So from an early age here, Nancy and her sisters always fought. They always did. And once the parents died, it didn't help any, obviously.
Sure.
Clearly. Immediately following Betty's death, Nancy drove over to her mother's home, fearful that her older sister might come into the house and take things that she wanted. So they immediately were like, I get that necklace. Mom promised it to me when I was 7, and they're doing that shit.
My favorite lamp.
Love that shit. She wanted some of the only thing she wanted, though, were Betty's casual clothes, like her sweaters. She liked shit like that reminded her of her mom. She wanted a carving of a wooden giraffe, and she wanted a string of pearls that she wore. She liked that.
That's all she wanted.
So this seems like she wanted stuff that her mom actually liked and that reminded her of her mom.
Sentimental shit, yeah.
Monetary reasons, yeah. Right. And that's one thing. If all the kids have big trust funds, they're not fighting over the big diamond. They're fighting over, a wooden giraffe.
It is very funny, though, when the most valuable thing monetarily is the one that somebody says, that means the most to me.
That means the most to me. When I look into that 3-carat fucking crystal clear stone, I
see Mom's face.
It's almost like a crystal ball. I can just see her enjoying her life. And so
those snow globes in every Christmas story that you can see Santa. I see Mom in that.
Yeah. So she missed her mom, obviously. Nancy and Betty fought about a lot of things, mainly that Betty didn't like the way Nancy lived. She ran around. She did this. She never settled down. Why don't you get a job and settle down and have a family?
Having a good time.
All that stuff. A lot of times Nancy wanted to get away from her mother, but now she misses her here. So everybody said Nancy wore the pearls everywhere. She always had Betty's pearls on. She'd drape them around her neck when she went into town. They said that became her trademark. Everybody knew that she always had the pearls on. Now, the inheritances, the story was that when the Pfister daughters turned 21, their father gave them each 40 acres and a horse.
All right.
Which is, we all... No need for the reference. We all.
I don't like that at all.
I looked at you. You looked at me, and we went, okay.
35. Why
and
you
a horse
land there, man?
Very strange. So the land and other assets were kept in a trust overseen by Andy Hecht, who is the lawyer, like we talked about here. Now, 40 acres of Aspen land, by the way, is insanely valuable. Fucking, I don't even know what that would be worth in a good spot.
Gift.
Just to a developer.
Right.
A developer would pay $100 million for that, probably. Yeah. I mean, because you could make it when houses on less than an acre are $12 million. $49 million. They said that before Betty died, she consulted with the attorney so that her life insurance policy wouldn't be paid out to her daughters for more than 2 years. So that kept nearly $2 million each away from them until late 2013. So in late 2013, they're all going to get a couple $1 million, all the daughters, in cash, actual cash, not in this trust. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad. Right. There's chemicals and things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, it's great. Amazing. Yeah. That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, I'm trying to get my protein intake up. for energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options.
Nice.
It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
So the sisters continue to fight.
Yeah.
After the mom's death here. Nancy really doesn't get along with Suzanne, who luckily is the one who lives across the street from her, so that's great. Christina lives in Denver, so she's kind of out of a lot of this. Yeah, she's kind of removed from this here. But Suzanne and Christina felt that Nancy was irresponsible, just kind of, going around the world, hanging out, fucking doing lines at the owl farm there and all that kind of shit. So sounds like a great life to me. I don't know.
No kids? Fuck. Oh, I mean, she's got 2.
But the sisters are mad at her because they believe that her behavior is why Art and Betty don't trust them with money and won't give them all of the money at once. She says it's her because they were trying to keep the money away from Nancy because they thought she'd go all around the world and do all sorts of shit.
One bad apple spoils the bunch kind of thing.
Yup. He said that Art seemed a little tough at times. He said all the sisters are fighting. They're fighting with their mother. There's 4 women fighting in my house, and he would get upset. He once told Nancy that John Denver, the John Denver, who is a close family friend, by the way, was,
Rocky Mountain High
was, quote, the son I never had. That's John Denver.
Why can't you be more like John Denver?
That's the son I never had. I'm sorry. Why can't you be more like John Denver? He's like, I don't want to wear that stupid hat. They're like, that's not Bob Denver. That's a different guy. That's Gilligan. John Denver, son I never had.
Come here, little buddy.
And whenever I hear any one note of a John Denver song, I picture Gilligan playing the guitar. Every time. I don't know what John Denver looks like because he looks like Gilligan to me.
Really?
Absolutely.
I've seen him on the cover of many a cassette tape because my grandfather loved cassettes for some reason. They were his favorite.
He's got overly shiny cheekbones, I remember. He's got
yeah.
Now, Easter 2013, there is a French TV show here. A female producer for the French television show Access Privé This would be like private access.
Yeah.
It's kind of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous in the French version. They came to town to film a segment on Aspen's celebrities and how they live and all that kind of shit. So to figure out how to get a hold of these people and gain entry into, because they just came over with a camera crew. They didn't know any of these fucking people, some small French TV show. So they got a hold of Nancy to be their conduit into society of Aspen.
Wow.
You know all the rich people and all the most famous people. Will you contact them for us, basically?
Yeah, we were told when we bought a croissant in Paris that we need to talk to you.
It's true. No, they asked around about who do we talk to in Aspen, and they said every single person they talked to said, there's this lady, Nancy Pfister. Talk to her. She knows everybody. She'll get you in wherever you need it to go. So she said, sure. She loved it. She took the TV crew to the Home Run Ranch, which is where who lives there, Jimmy? The Home Run Ranch.
Home Run?
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio?
No, it's Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell was a baseball player before he was an actor.
He calls it the Home Run Ranch?
Yeah. Kurt Russell
adorable.
He was on the Portland Mavericks. His dad owned the team.
No shit.
He was a minor league a legit single A baseball player before he was an actor. He was trying to act because he was a child actor in the 60s, but then he was trying to be a baseball player. The pictures of him in the uniform are hilarious because he's got these big Coke bottle glasses on too. It's pretty fun. Oh, check it out. Everybody is, I'm sure. So took him to meet Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, took him to Owl Creek, took him to Owl Farm, owned by Hunter Thompson, took him to Kevin Costner's house.
Of course he's got a place there.
Come on by the Cos's house.
Yeah.
Took him to the Red House, owned by Jack Nicholson, because, Nancy knew Jack because they dated. At Jack's place, she pointed out the bedroom that she used to share with him. I've slept in that bedroom many a times.
I've done some dirty things right there.
I've done some filthy things for Jack, and people said that she never quite got over Jack Nicholson, like we said.
Filthy.
Nancy invited the producer to a party at a home owned by Thomas Benton, who was a printmaker. Another thing, was a big party. One of Nancy's best friends also was Bob Broudus. He was the ex-sheriff of Aspen, was at the party, and they said that, everybody was hanging out, boozing, smoking weed, and all these rich, famous people, and the French people were just blown away by this. They're like, this is amazing. Who the fuck? This is fucking Versailles.
Great.
This is crazy shit. Nancy's house is 1833 West Buttermilk Road. It is a 3-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,016 square foot cabin.
Hell yeah.
It's not a cabin. It's on 36 and a half acres, by the way.
That's a house.
That's a fucking nice house. Yeah. Right now, it was put up for sale at one point here, but then it was withdrawn. They're saying its estimated value is $12,320,000 right now. So, and she'd probably get more for it based on all the land.
So it was built in 91, man.
It was built in 91. It's not even old and falling apart.
Yeah, right. It's not even old and historic.
So what she would do is she didn't really love the winter season here very much. She's not a big skier. You notice all those things I said, skiing didn't really come up too often. So she likes to go out of the country and travel during the winter and rent her house out during the winter.
Heads down to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, and basically the people who rent the house out pay for her trip. For her. And she does that for 6 months and comes home and then spends the winter or the summer there. So her friend, she has a friend that helps her out with this named Kathy Carpenter. Okay. Now Kathy, she's a local girl, grew up in the Valley. She has a son who's, her family lives there, got a mother and sister who lives there. She's an Aspen girl here. She's been working with Kathy in the late 2000s for a few years there. Yeah. They're working on again, off again. Nancy would kind of rely on her and leave her in charge of the house when she was away. So she's in charge of collecting rent, and also if things get broken, getting them fixed, and
property manager,
house manager. Yeah, that's what she is. She's basically gets paid to be Nancy's friend.
Sure.
Not that Nancy needs to pay to have friends, but she's kind of an employee friend. Yeah,
she's turned her friendship into a lucrative job,
into a career. Yeah. And they had a falling out in about 2012, as we'll talk about, and they kind of cut off ties for a little while, but then Kathy got back into Nancy's life. One of their friends, this is one of Nancy's friends, Rita, said Kathy Carpenter really cared about Nancy Pfister. She became her person, like to drive her different places. I think she enjoyed it because she got invited around to a lot of places and things that she probably would have not gotten invited to had she not been with Nancy Pfister. Right. Yeah, she thought it was cool as fuck. She thought it was great.
She's her entourage.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. So there's some issues. One of the issues, this is kind of where they had a falling out. Nancy called the cops in August of 2012 saying she was afraid of Kathy Carpenter after a night of drinking. She said that she was worried that Carpenter might get violent. That's what she said. Right. It was a 911 call on August 25th, 2012. It came from the front desk of the Hampton Inn, which you wouldn't expect to hear that with these people.
No shit.
The Hampton Inn in Glenwood Springs, where a witness said that Kathy and Nancy were arguing when Nancy sought to part ways for the evening.
Yeah.
Glenwood police officers responded and found both women in Nancy's Toyota Prius in the parking lot.
Yeah, well, in Glenwood Springs, that's probably the nicest hotel there.
That's what I mean. It's in the middle of, I could see that, those motels.
That's where Doc Holliday, that's where he died.
And she's one of those rich people that drives a Prius, who's super wealthy, but she's like, I'm so wealthy, I drive a Prius, I don't care.
Like Larry David.
Exactly. Now, Pfister is going to be charged when the cops come after the 911 call. They find them out there. She's going to be charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, Nancy.
Yeah, you don't get to be drunk.
You can't be in the car. When you're drunk, you got to get the fuck out of the car. That's the thing. It was later pleaded down to driving while ability impaired over questions about whether she was actually driving the car, because she was just in the car. They weren't driving when the cop came. So the police report of the incident, written here by a guy from the Glenwood Springs Police Department, said that when he arrived on the scene, Nancy told him that she had the clerk call 911 because her friend who was in the back of the seat was very intoxicated and that Pfister was afraid of her. The cop wrote that Pfister stated she was just afraid because her friend does not drink very much and she thought she might get violent. She thought she's drank more than she can. She's over her head booze-wise, so she doesn't know what to do.
Flailing a little bit.
The officer's report noted Nancy's slurred speech and the smell of alcohol on her breath, and a blood test found she had an alcohol content of 0.156, which is twice the legal limit and very drunk.
She's having a lot of fun.
Quite drunk. The report also stated that throughout the entire time I was in contact with Pfister and was able to see Pfister's friend, Jesus, it's a weird phrase, Pfister's friend, I never once heard her say anything or act aggressively. So this was just a, precautionary thing. So prior to this, prior to the incident, they had been at they and an unidentified male were at the Pullman restaurant in downtown Glenwood. Outside the restaurant here, Pfister met a server who had just gotten off work and asked her for help in finding her car. So the four of them, Nancy, Kathy, the waitress, and some unidentified male, spent the next hour walking around Glenwood trying to locate the vehicle, which they eventually found. Pfister had offered this waitress $60 to drive her back to Aspen in the Prius because she was drunk, but this girl said no. So instead, she drove the group to the Hampton Inn before leaving the scene. Okay. So a witness says that Nancy wasn't driving that night. Right. She actively tried to pay someone to get her to not drive
my car,
Yeah. So in the course of the 2 hours she spent with Nancy and Kathy, this waitress said that she witnessed Kathy acting annoying, crass, and rude toward Nancy. Which that she just described drunk.
Yeah.
Drunk. She said she didn't make much out of the comments at the time because Kathy was extremely intoxicated and, quote, barely coherent.
Fun.
She's just rambling. She's a bitch and she fucking wants to suck Jack Nicholson's balls.
You miss him. Just say it.
You say you want to fuck
say it.
Joker.
You were jealous because he had sexual tension with Nurse Cratchit. Say it.
You know it. He fucked Helen Hunt. You bitch.
He could get better than you. And he has a lot. You never sat courtside at the Lakers.
Never. So Kathy did a lot of mumbling under her breath and was yelling disparaging remarks about Nancy's behavior that night.
Golly.
Apparently, that's when the argument happened at the Hampton Inn, when Nancy made it clear that she wanted Kathy to stay there for the night and be separated from her. Kathy refused to stay there and threw a huge fit. So there was no physical violence, but the waitress said that when Kathy learned that Nancy wanted her to stay at a hotel, she flew off the handle. Pfister and Nancy and Kathy went into the hotel lobby while the waitress stayed outside. The waitress said she could hear yelling coming from inside the deal there, just fucking screaming the whole time inside, fighting and fucking yelling and everything else. So that's kind of interesting. That's how that night went. Just a weird it's just someone who doesn't drink that much is what it seems like here. Her attorney, they said, who represented Nancy in the case, noted that the DUI charge fell apart because the defense challenged the admissibility of statements police claimed to have elicited from Nancy that night.
Right.
Yes, because I'm sure she has a fine lawyer, Nancy. Yeah. She eventually allowed Kathy back into her life, and there was that, because she blamed Kathy for getting the DUI, essentially.
Yeah. Sure.
So that everything was fine then here, because on November 13th, 2012, when this was going through court, Carpenter wrote a letter asking the judge to let Nancy leave the state for winter, as was her custom. Kathy describes herself as Nancy's close friend, house sitter for 6 years, and personal banker. Because, by the way, Kathy works at a bank and has for 20 years.
Okay.
She's a teller. So the letter describes physical ailments of Nancy's that would be eased if she'd be allowed to spend the winter in a warmer climate, which she has done since having wrist and shoulder surgery 5 years prior. She said, I live with her and witness the daily pain and trauma. She says she needs to return to a warmer climate and her job of 6 years in Maui. I have been her guest in Hawaii and have witnessed the difference in her physical, emotional, and overall well-being when she's in her element. Really? People when they're on the beach in Hawaii are in a good mood. Weird.
I tend to smile more in Maui.
You know, when she's in Maui, just sitting watching the ocean, laying in the sun, she seems relaxed. I don't know what it is.
Forgets about all the pain.
Real weird. So, but once Kathy gets back into the good graces of Nancy, she's always there and always hanging out with her and all of that. She got Nancy would do her hair and shit like that, and they became good friends and blah, blah, blah. So Kathy worked at, like I said, the Alpine Bank. She was a teller. She would also deposit cash or checks for Nancy, and she watched. When Nancy was gone, she would watch Nancy's dog as well, dog named Gabe, who's a black Labradoodle.
Oh, boy.
Okay. A lot of the rumors around Aspen were that they were lovers, these two, but
sure,
that's not the way it was. Nancy liked dudes.
Nancy misses Jack.
That's what I mean. Nancy likes Jack, and Nancy was only, we don't know what Kathy's into, but we know Nancy's into guys. So there's that. Now, October 2013, we're going to enter two people into this. Dr. William F. Styler III. Styler is Styler. Styler.
Yeah.
Like, he's a real styler. The third, so he goes by Trey, of course, because he's a douchebag. And obviously, he's born in 1949, and he's got his wife, who's around the same age. Her name is Nancy Christine Styler. So now we're going to mix another Nancy into this whole thing. So I'll make sure to differentiate the two of them. These two are married. They moved to Aspen in 2013 from Colorado, from Denver here, where William had been an anesthesiologist.
Hell yeah.
Big money there. And Nancy Styler, his wife, founded the Victoria Conservancy Botanical Gardens in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's big into growing water lilies. That's what she's into.
Really?
Name a person who's ever worried about a bill that grows water lilies. Find me one.
As her hobby. She's got a water lily greenhouse.
Fuck out of here. Yeah, you have to dig shit for them. It's crazy. So for 28 years, they lived in a nice Denver suburb in Greenwood Village. They had a big house, and everybody called him Trey. He was a highly respected physician who became chief of the St. Joseph's Hospital Department of Anesthesiology.
Oh.
Dude's paid. They do okay. one of his doctor friends here, another anesthesiologist, said, I met Trey 30 years ago when I first came to town. Everyone told me to go to Trey and talk with him because he was a very skilled doctor who really knew his stuff. Everyone in the operating room wanted to work with him because he was a warm and generous person. Not bad. And he made a shitload of money. They really did. He was doing great. He bought a big 3-story house in Greenwood Village.
Yeah.
A little bit about him. He's from Tulsa. Nancy Styler, born in Massachusetts. He graduated from Oklahoma State University's College of Osteopathic Medicine. My alma mater, obviously, clearly.
It's you Cowboys.
You know that. The Osteopathic Cowboys, they're called. You know, they're totally different. The football team sucks, but other than that.
But they're high as shit.
They're real good, yeah. They do. That's why they suck. They're just writing themselves prescriptions.
Yeah, a lot of propofol.
Yeah. There was oil money in his family, in Styler's family,
wow.
Trey, and he was in line to inherit huge sums of money, millions of dollars. So he's doing just fine. He's heading up a department at a major hospital, and his wife ends up being pretty well-known, too. Little about Nancy Styler, this is.
Sure.
When she was 16, by then, she was a makeup artist who did so well that she did makeup jobs to pay for college and nursing school.
Oh?
She attended nursing school in France, where she received a training in general medicine and anesthesia, and then met Trey shortly after he got to Denver for his anesthesia residency in 1980. Okay. So there you go. As a nurse anesthesiast, Nancy was a young member of the faculty at the University of Colorado, and he was the newest resident. So that's how they met. There you go.
Young love over drugs.
Over fucking some oxys. So... Yeah. She was worse than oxys. What are we talking about?
Shit.
We're talking about propofol. Yeah. So she was blown away by him. She said he was a brilliant physician. He was valedictorian of his med school class.
Jesus.
Nancy Styler said, the smartest resident I ever had, she said, and said he's just extremely intelligent, really smart guy. They get married by February 1982, and a few years later, they have a son, and guess what they name him?
Quad?
Same shit. He's fourth. They call him Will for some reason.
Okay.
Don't know why. Well,
it's
William.
4 letters. That's
William, but you can be 4. You can be quad. I think that's good for you. Quattro. That's what you call him. Hey, Quattro.
That's solid. Yeah.
Makes it sound cool. So some people found the Stylers a little odd. Not unusual, but just a little strange. Really, really weird. Money didn't seem like a problem for them, though.
Sure.
They purchased matching Harley Davidsons and spent a lot of time in the early 90s making frequent trips to Aspen together on their bikes.
Yeah.
So they drive the bikes
From
through
Denver?
the mountains out to there. Yeah, driving through the mountains. That's a ride. That's 3 hours something ride.
Yeah.
So initially, Trey went into a private practice with the Denver Anesthesiology Group, and then in 1990, he joined the Colorado Anesthesia Consultants, the CAC, and the fellow doctors made him chairman of their department at St. Joseph's Hospital.
Chairman of the CACs.
Of all the CACs, all you cacas. Then the Denver Post wrote a big article about Nancy's talents with water lilies as well. Sure. So he's the best doctor. She grows the best water lilies. You can't you can't beat him. One of CAC's founders, Dr. Ron Stevens, said, I first met Trey in 1982. He was in training to be an anesthesiologist and looking to get into a private practice. I was a resident at the University of Colorado Hospital and a couple years behind him. He was a little quirkier than most people in the medical field. He was opinionated and had a temper. Nancy was also working at the University of Colorado as a nurse. What I remember about her was that she put on way too much makeup. Very flashy. A lot of people say that about her, that she's got a real like Dolly Parton going on stage thing going on, where you're like, hey, listen, lady, this is no one needs to looking at you from the upper deck to be able to see you. Like, we're all 3 feet away.
Turn your face down a notch. Just prescribe me the fucking morphine.
Yeah, exactly. She said very flashy. She also thought she knew more than I did at this point because she'd already been in the trenches with patients and I hadn't gotten there yet. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, They get some illnesses, these two.
Oh, no.
Nancy Styler is diagnosed with breast cancer and has a double mastectomy.
Oh, my God, the poor thing.
Which is brutal. Well, don't feel so bad for her quite yet. Not quite yet. Maybe this is some kind of karmic thing with her because she's kind of an asshole. Let's talk all about it. I'm going to say she's a huge asshole, this lady. Fuck this lady.
What disease did he get?
He, well, it's very strange. According to one of the doctors, one day Trey was digging a water lily pond for her in his yard when a backhoe fell on his leg. Okay. He was seriously injured and had a bunch of surgeries, but never fully recovered. For months, he used a scooter to get around the hospital and operating rooms. He also suffered with chronic reflex sympathy dystrophy, a condition resulting from crushed nerves.
What is
I don't know what the fuck. It doesn't matter. He'd become very sensitive to pain and to intense heat as well. He's very sensitive. It's a nerve problem.
So the backhoe beat the shit out of his spinal, his whole system. He's fucked up.
It could be nerves in your leg. I don't know exactly where it is. I don't have his chart on me, but he's all fucked up. That's what I'm trying to explain. For a while, he tried to keep working in the operating room, but couldn't react quickly enough because his body didn't work so well. So he decided to give it up. So over the past in the 2000s, some doctors described his condition as being, quote, like Lou Gehrig's disease, which is what's like ALS. That's I don't even know
what that does. Otherwise, it just breaks down your body, right?
Yeah, just destroys it.
Destroys you.
Trey told people that he kept breaking the small bones in his feet. They kept breaking. They got real
fractures.
Stress, So occasionally he used a wheelchair. He's not a big guy, and by the time he gets to his 60s, by the time we're talking about, they're going to move into the house here, he's 5'11", weighs about 150 pounds. He's frail looking, white hair, beard. When he'd sit in a wheelchair, he'd sink into the wheelchair, kind of collapse his shoulders. He looks, and I've seen his picture in a wheelchair, he looks 75 years old, not 65.
It's not good.
Not great. And that's because he's got, illnesses here. Yeah. Trey writes a letter to the CAC Board of Directors stating that he was suffering from, and I quote, idiopathic sensory motor peripheral neuropathy. And he said between some help from medications and significant limitation of physical activity, he said he was coping. Now, the term idiopathic means that the illness has no known cause, but could result in nerve damage, among other things. That's what that means. No known cause. So he gave up his practice here, and the Stylers start a printing business so they could generate income and have a new health insurance program because they both need it. Yeah. Printing business doesn't do that great. Doesn't do a lot. In August of 2008, he's driving his Audi to a legal conference. He rear-ends a Volkswagen and gets sued again here. And he gets sued for medical bills in excess of $300,000.
Oh, he hit him hard.
Fucked up, he said. Someone said, "Oh, I'm an anesthesiologist," and they were like, "My neck. Oh, God.
My back. Everything.
Oh, my back. Yeah. Oh, my back. Doctor said I need a backiotomy." So he said by now, Trey is acting as his own lawyer before the trial.
Oh, boy.
This is a lot of shit going on here. He sued his former attorney for malpractice. He did win a judgment of $896,056, but the attorney declared bankruptcy and he didn't get a nickel. So
he got nothing.
He got ugats out of that. Anyway, bad investments. His inheritance is gone. Failing health. He got sued. He's trying
with cancer.
Lawyers. Nancy Styler was looking for work in the jewelry making business or wherever she could find it. And she's trying to be the main source of income at this point because also they lost a bunch of assets in the stock market's crash of 2007-8 as well.
Oh, no.
So they had a perfect storm of shit, just crushed them.
They haven't made a good decision yet.
Never. They are great at water lilies, though. Let me tell you something. Unbelievable.
Except for digging them.
Fuck. Both of the Stylers were experts in the cultivation of Victoria water lilies. They penned a 2001 article in a publication called Pond and Garden, which I did not know was in a fucking Pond and Garden magazine. Is there tits in that? I want to hear somebody ask that. They got bush in there or no? So
we tend to read Better Homes better than that one, right?
Yeah.
The circulation of Pond and Garden.
It's like Guns and Ammo, but a little for calmer people.
For 7 people.
Yeah, exactly. They called it the Victoria Conservancy. It was a branch of the International Water Lily and Water Gardening Society, which also exists. Telling you about a bunch of shit you didn't know existed.
Water lilies and cranberries. That's all they talk about.
A woman at the society referred questions about the couple to the Denver Botanic Gardens employee who never returned messages. So another 2008 Denver Post article focused on the couple's growing of Victoria water lilies for water gardens around the world.
Unbelievable.
Now, here's some other issues that I'm not sure if this is true or not. I only found this in one source, so I'm not going to say this is true, but it's possible. They said that apparently the Stylers were investigated in the mid-2000s for arson and insurance fraud after both of their cars mysteriously exploded within a 3-year period, which is weird. How many cars have you had explode on you?
Yeah, but James, you don't understand.
Usually you have to drive them off a cliff first, usually.
The
and then
elevation
they
up there is the pressure is.
It's a lot
intense.
of pressure. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Well, this was in Kansas. So
oh shit.
Yeah, no,
that ruins everything.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all. The police were unable to make any arrests due to lack of evidence, and I guess so. And then there's also a rumor that in July 2005, Nancy Styler was arrested and charged with assault after beating a waitress at a Wichita area restaurant. Which sounds like the trashiest thing you could do. I'm going to whoop a Waffle House waitress's ass in a Wichita fucking highway, baby. Come on. Let's go to the middle of the off-ramp and settle this fucking...
Let's
go, Flo, outside, bitch. We're going.
If it's not cold, this won't hurt. And she pours coffee all over her.
But I don't know if that's true or not. I really hope it is because it's hilarious. Now, one person who worked for them, for the Stylers, said, quote, they weren't horrible people. They were just off.
Yeah.
It's a little off. A magazine writer did articles with them, asked if she ever considered them to be violent or unstable, and she said, no, not at all. She said, here's my impression of Nancy Styler. Quote, when she opened the door, it was a combination of Dolly Parton and I Dream of Jeannie. She had this fake tan makeup, long French nails, gold shoes. She's kind of kooky. There was an element that these people were living in a world of their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, she dresses like a nut. So they said they were constantly, while they were in Denver doing well, they were always constantly adding on to their home and putting in waterfalls and all this kind of shit. Yeah. They were everything like that. So they also have a son who's an adult at this point in the story in the 2000s here. I guess they're going to end up renting Nancy's house at 1833 West Buttermilk Road. This is after all this shit. Sure. The rental agreement is in October, and it's for $4,000 a month. They're going to pay rent for this joint. Good sum there. What they want to do, the Stylers want to start a spa business. That's what they're looking to do. They have over $100,000 in equipment and products to start this spa business, including machines and whatever the fuck. So, but they're having money problems. Their credit score was so low, the Stylers, that the Alpine Bank, which is, I believe, where Kathy works, rejected Trey's application seeking $25,000 to $50,000 in a loan. So they wouldn't even give him that. Styler had told the loan officer that he needed the money to pay his first and last month's rent at the Pfister home and start a spa at the Hotel Jerome, which is a place Hunter Thompson used to get his mail, he said all the time. Now, when William Styler, Trey, learned that he'd been rejected for the loan, he told the bank's president that if anything were to happen to Nancy, it would be best for all involved. What? I don't know. That's a wild thing to say to a bank president. Yeah. So he also told the president that if I commit suicide, meaning me, Trey, my wife would be able to live off my insurance policy. She'll get like $1 million. So maybe I'll do that.
Okay.
Now, the same day, and he's got a special insurance policy that pays off for suicide, by the way, which is crazy.
Oh, that's real?
That's a real thing he's got. He can, if he kills himself, she gets $1 million.
the premium of that has to be outrageous.
That's got to be for a depressed, nerve-damaged ex-doctor. Yeah, it's got to be a lot. That same day, Trace tried to sell one of his wife's rings to a downtown Aspen jeweler. So he's to the point of, we're selling our jewelry. This is crazy. He said he didn't like the jeweler's offer and then threatened to kill himself again to the jeweler. He said, I don't like your offer. He goes, maybe I'll just go home and kill myself, and then left. That was literally that. Mm-hmm. So they move in on November 22nd, 2013. They move in to the Pfister home. And it's immediately a terrible relationship between. Apparently, they were friendly before they moved in. And then once they moved in, it was all over.
Now we're roommates.
Well, this is before she leaves. So they're there for a couple weeks before Nancy takes off for the winter. She's going to Australia for the winter.
Oh, hell yeah.
So they saw her ad in the newspaper looking for renters, and they responded. And they got along well at first. Nancy even suggested they could move in a month early with her as she got ready to leave on her trip. Nancy Styler said, we went up there and it just seemed perfect. But then some trouble started to start. This is from Nancy Styler, who is a fucking liar, so I don't know how true this is. She says, quote, after the first couple of days, she treated me like a slave. Like, get my cigarettes, get this, get my drink. And I was not used to being so disrespected. It wasn't pretty.
Okay.
That's what she says. So that's a slave, by the way. Can you hand me that? This is a person who's never really probably had a lot go wrong in her life besides cancer. Before the cancer, everything else went perfect, and then one thing hit and it all went downhill. So the trouble would continue. Nancy leaves for Australia. Nancy Pfister leaves. The Stylers say they discovered several items in the home, like the stove and dishwasher, didn't work. Okay. And they refused to pay their $4,000 rent until repairs were made. Lucky us.
Yeah.
The shit doesn't. If I was them, I'd start breaking dishwashers because they can't afford the rent. So Kathy's friend, Kathy Carpenter, Nancy's friend again from the bank there, that's her assistant basically. Kathy said that there had been constant fighting between Nancy and the Stylers. Nancy Pfister went to Australia for the winter, but became very agitated because they stopped paying their rent as well as the utilities as well. So she had to pay for that too. So they said they were mechanical issues in the house. They said they didn't have hot water the first month they lived there, which is interesting. Also, the Stylers had use of one of Nancy Pfister's credit cards and were driving Pfister's car. That was part of the agreement, too. You could drive my car while I'm out of town. Nancy Pfister on December 12th emailed Trey to complain. She says, quote, Nancy Styler, Trey's wife, charged almost $670 to my card. No cash for the rest of our agreements except to hear from my lawyer. You guys have a lot of nerve to move in with no payments, making me upset. I have other people to take care of, Gabe, meaning the dog. Better get a moving truck and return to Denver, she emails Trey.
Get out.
Get the fuck out of my house. This is an email that Trey sent back to her on February 17th of 2014. Quote, you keep repeating your allegation that Nancy, meaning his wife, Nancy Styler, never repaid you for the clothes bought with your card. This is false. You were repaid in excess between the money paid to the caterer on your behalf, the more than $1,000 spent buying your special champagne, which was never intended to be a gift to you. Be careful what you ask for. You may get more than you expect. So this is all real snotty.
Yeah.
Uppity things, bullshit.
You bought this.
You're special. You wanted to get one over on me instead of, and they go back and forth. So,
and we're nickel and diming each other.
Totally. On December 17th, an email to Nancy Pfister's attorney, who had threatened the couple with eviction if they didn't live up to the rental terms, Trey apologized, quote, for losing my temper on the phone today for anything personally offensive I may have said in the heat of passion.
Well, you probably said.
He yelled at a lawyer. Yeah, he yelled at her lawyer.
Yeah.
In a December email, Trey added that Nancy was aware of their financial situation and had agreed to allow some flexibility and informality. But still, they said that the Stylers claim they paid Nancy $12,000 for a security deposit.
Oh.
Okay. On January 4th, Nancy Pfister here wrote to Kathy Carpenter, her friend, And Carpenter wrote to her and said, Kathy, the deal is there's no lease signed. They moved in about October 15th, so they were living in my house and moving shit from Denver into my house starting early, so they have to pay. Where is the money for this month's rent? You know they're not going to get back the damage deposit because they've taken advantage of my generosity. All I can say is Trey is lying about the lease. Then Nancy texts her lawyer, John, my house is a total mess. They broke my bed, putting it back in the room. They deconstructed my entire house. I can't find a thing. I don't know if they've stolen stuff.
Took her house apart.
Took her, which, I mean, if they're moving in, I don't know. Maybe they wanted their own bed. I'm not sure. So, like we said, Trey was trying to get a loan through all this, and that never worked out. Right. On February 21st, 2014, Nancy returns 2 to 3 months early from her trip. She's not planning on coming back till May, and she comes back now. She's pissed. She's not happy.
She probably can't afford to be in Australia because they're not paying rent.
They're not paying rent. And to go from all the way from Australia to Aspen, you really have to be pissed.
That's a lot of flying.
It's a long flight to be angry at. She said in a Facebook post that we'll read about here that she had to deal with renters who were not paying up. She wrote on her Facebook page she was having problems with the people renting her home. This is January 21st. She said, okay, everyone, I'm still in Byron Bay and have just found the most beautiful place on earth, and I really want to buy it. First of all, I need somebody to rent my place in Aspen because the people that I was letting to did not come through. They are out of there February 22nd, I believe, and I do not want to say much more. Okay. Then 3 days later, she wrote, hi, everyone. I'm still in Australia, and I'd like to stay in Australia, but the people that were supposed to be taking care of my house are not doing what they said they would do, and they're not paying rent and haven't paid utilities. So she's just renting on Facebook. Yeah. So Nancy and her son arrived back in Aspen on February 21st, her and her 16-year-old son at the time here. Because she had another kid in 1995, I believe she had another kid. So 1997, something like that. Now, Kathy here told them that she had, Kathy Carpenter picks the two up from the airport, Nancy and her kid, drove them home, and was asked by Nancy Pfister if she could stay at the house over the weekend. Yeah. Okay. Now, Nancy, when she gets home, Nancy Pfister, calls her son's father and arranged for her son to spend the weekend at his house. Yeah. I don't know if she expects some fireworks. She didn't give an explanation. She just said, can you come get him? So she tries to evict the Stylers, demanding that they pay her between $13,000 and $14,000 in back rent before they could reclaim their possessions from the home. Oh, you want your shit back? Give me $14,000. Yeah. And they're saying we have $100,000 worth of spa equipment there we need.
Right.
So Kathy Carpenter said that the Stylers were very angry with Nancy and that Nancy Styler had told her multiple times that she wanted to kill Nancy Pfister. She was so mad.
Really?
February 24th, 2014, Carpenter gets up. She spent the weekend with Nancy Pfister at the house, just the two of them. Then Kathy Carpenter gets up early and leaves for work, leaving Nancy alone at the house. Kathy left a note on the door for guests saying that Nancy Pfister was sleeping and to call her and see if she was awake enough to talk before entering the house. She's very tired. Yeah. So another one of Nancy's friends, Billy Clayton, said that he didn't want to bother Nancy Pfister while she was sleeping, so he sent her an email and she never replied. Then Trey and Nancy Styler called Kathy Carpenter to tell her that they had recently moved out. Meanwhile, she knew that, obviously. She spent the weekend there. They told her they had moved into a hotel in Basalt, Colorado. Basalt, B-A-S-A-L-T, returning to the home only to clear out their belongings. Okay. But they were like, that's weird because she said you had to pay her the money before she would give you your shit back. Also, Nancy Styler said to Kathy Carpenter that she hadn't seen Nancy Pfister and said maybe she killed herself. That's what she said.
Say that?
Weird shit to say. So over the next few days, Nancy Styler keeps calling Kathy Carpenter. Kathy Carpenter doesn't go back to Nancy Pfister's house, by the way. She goes back to her own house. Nancy Styler keeps calling Kathy Carpenter in more frequent, actions here. Yeah. And at one point, Nancy Styler told Kathy that they had been to Nancy Pfister's house to get their possessions, and she noticed a foul smell at the house.
Oh, the house stinks.
House stinks in there. It's weird.
Terrible.
Yeah, I don't know, open a window or what. So then on February 26th, the Stylers called Kathy Carpenter to say they'd be back later that evening to collect some trash bags they had left in front of Nancy Pfister's house. But Kathy Carpenter goes first to the house before they were going to go. She said she hadn't returned her phone call from 2 days earlier. Nancy Pfister hasn't, so Kathy wanted to go check on her. Yeah. So also she found out Nancy Pfister had not shown up for her job as a tour guide for 2 days. So they drive, up to the secluded house. It's on the north slope of Buttermilk Mountain. It's a very secluded place. But there didn't seem to be any trace of her. She opened the front door, stepped inside, looked around. She saw the dog, Gabe. He's happy, wagging his tail, doing his deal here. And, he came toward her and was getting pet. So Kathy was like, oh, man, I could smell dog shit. The dog's been shitting in the house. Mm-hmm. So he's like, she said, oh, my God. She said one of the windows was even open, and it was letting cold-ass air in, February mountain air in.
You don't want that.
But there's still shit everywhere. She thought to herself, why didn't anyone clean up the shit? So she said she walked past the pool table and went upstairs to the master bedroom. It's got a huge walk-in closet filled with clothes, shoes, and Tibetan prayer flags. And
hell yeah.
Nancy called it her special closet. Now, glancing around Nancy Pfister's room, Kathy noticed that the bed was neatly made, and she thought that was odd because Nancy never made a bed in her life. She said never. She left that shit to, chambermaids, shit like that. Not her thing.
Hell yeah.
That's quite the life. She's like Wyatt Earp living on room service here. She later also said she entered the master bedroom, noticed the bed was in disarray, meaning the comforter draped over the side and the sheets pulled off one side of the mattress. So was it made or not? She's got two separate things that she said about the bed.
Sounds like it was made, but it was yanked and draped.
Weird. So she said she lifted the bed cover and saw no sheets on the mattress, which was also weird. And she said the mattress itself was slightly askew. So it seems like the comforter was on it, maybe draped over a bit, but everything else under it was fucked up. So she said that she looked up and saw a red smear of what looked like blood on the headboard.
Oh, boy.
So she went toward the closet, which was about 10 feet away from the foot of the bed. She said as she grew closer, she noticed a very small stain of blood spattered on the bed frame. But you'd really have to be looking hard to see a small frame of blood on a bed frame.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
Then she went to the closet and found the bedroom closet is locked. And this is common. It's about 5:45 p.m., by the way. It's common that it's locked, but usually the key is in the lock in the door, and it's got a little oval thing hanging off it that says owner's closet. Okay. That's her keys, but there's no key in the lock right now.
Key's gone.
So the key's gone, but the door is locked. So she said, shit. She has a spare key that Nancy had given her, but she doesn't have it on her. So she then gets in her car, drives all the way back to Aspen to pick up a spare key and drive all the way back up the fucking mountain here.
Jeez.
During this time, she called her mother, Chris, and also a friend of Nancy's, Patty Stranahan, telling them both the same thing. The house just feels weird. It just feels weird. Mm-hmm. Okay. She also had brought Gabe, the dog, with her and loaded him into the Subaru and took West Buttermilk Road down to Aspen to go to her apartment on Main Street. And by the way, her apartment is provided to her by the Alpine Bank.
Nice.
No way to afford that on a bank salary. It's the only way they can have employees. That's it. So after retrieving the keys, she headed back out, took all the way back out there and up toward Nancy's house, pulled back into the driveway, left Gabe in the car, went back inside, walked upstairs and approached the bedroom closet. She took out the key and was able to unlock the door. And she looked down and saw something horrible here. Yeah. Now, this is what she said in her 911 call. She said, by the way, they said the 911 operator described her as emotional, distraught, and difficult to understand at times. Oh. She said, "Oh my God, help me." She said, "My friend, oh my God, my friend," is what she's saying. So obviously that's not good. They want to know what the fuck, basically.
Tell us more.
So before dialing the number, she got in her car and drove partway down the road. So she didn't stay in the room and do it. She got in the car and drove away. She told the dispatcher that she just left the Pfister home and was on her way to the police station, fearing that a killer might still be inside the house.
Yeah.
The dispatcher ordered her to pull over to the shoulder and park, which she did. Can't just drive away. So she was sobbing. She said that her friend was wrapped in something full of blood, was her quote, and that she'd also seen blood in the master bedroom. When she described where she'd seen it, the word came out hurriedly and awkwardly. She said she saw it either on the bed's headboard or on the body's forehead. She said it kind of both ways. Either way, she said after looking into the closet, she thought that Nancy was covered up in there and dead. So they said, "What was your friend wrapped in?" And she said, I don't know. I don't know. So the dispatcher's questioning her more. She blurted out, Kathy does at one point here, that Nancy had really pissed them off. And they were like, who? They said the stylers, these people. So the dispatcher said, "Stay in the vehicle. Officer's going to be there soon." So a deputy pulls up next to her vehicle and speaks with her on the side of the road. The deputy thought that she smelled alcohol, or that he smelled alcohol, even though Kathy was regularly attending meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous and had gone to see her sponsor 3 days earlier to talk about some shit. Mm-hmm. They asked her, "How much have you had to drink?" And she denied having anything at all. And he said, "I think you've had something to drink," and wrote it down in his report.
Man. Yeah.
So detectives arrive. This is Pitkin County Peace Officer Brad Gibson. He comes in to Nancy Pfister's home, where the undersheriff, Ron Ryan, and a deputy named Grant Janke and another deputy are all there gathered, walking around. They walk to the upstairs. They look in the master bedroom closet. Hansen shone his flashlight here, Deputy Hansen, on the floor and saw a lump, what they described as a lump wrapped in at least one towel, at least one blanket, and at least one sheet. He thought it looked like a small person, a large animal, or something like that in a pile of laundry. Could have been any of it. Yeah. Now, the one guy, Gibson, he said that when he and the other investigators went into the home the night that this happened, inside the walk-in closet, we saw what appeared to be a body covered in at least one towel, one blanket, and possibly one sheet. It was difficult to determine how the body was positioned. The towel was blood-stained, and one end of the lump was wrapped in 2 white plastic trash bags. Hansen removed some of the coverings and saw a heavy-duty yellow extension cord wrapped around the woman's neck. They also saw that the neck area was covered by a towel, and wrapped around the towel and the neck was the yellow heavy-duty electrical extension cord. The inner white bag was smeared red, blood. The one Hansen, he probed the corpse's head and said that the skull appeared to be quite soft, which is not what you want to hear from a skull. From the shoulders down, she was naked, by the way, was wrapped in another plastic trash bag, textured in such a way that made it resistant to tearing, meaning the trash bag, not the way you put it on.
Ones.
I used those. The knees were folded up into a fetal position, and the remainder of the cord was wrapped around them to make her smaller. So they got wrapped in a cord, tight. So the cops are all looking over the rest of the bedroom. They saw no blood on the carpet or anywhere else except for the trace on the headboard that Kathy'd seen.
Interesting.
So there's blood on the bed, and then she's in the closet, but there's no blood anywhere in the 10 feet between them.
Okay.
So they said that's very fucking interesting. Weird. They said that from the shoulders down, the body was wrapped in heavy-duty plastic trash bags while the head was covered in 2 white plastic kitchen bags. They also arrived to examine the body and obviously take it to the crime lab. When they get there, Nancy, they said, by the way, it's been said that she was naked and in her pajamas. So I don't know which fucking one is which. I don't know what is true here. Some people said she was naked. Some people said she had her pajamas on. Okay. Either way, they said she had a large gash in her torso, which sounds like an insult to a lady, but it's really from an axe.
They do have,
Yeah. She'd been struck by an axe, they said.
Golly.
The wounds to her face were later determined to have been caused by someone beating her with a hammer. There was no defensive wounds on her body, which led the medical examiner to believe that Nancy had been beaten while she slept. Okay. So they determined the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head and basically strangulation or some sort of suffocation.
Sure.
Now, the examination couldn't reveal the exact type of weapon used. They said we could tell the end of the instrument was small, within an inch or two. So a fucking hammer. The time of death was also hard to pin down. Her body was found 6 p.m. on February 26th, but they said the killing occurred sometime between the evenings of February 24th and 25th. Is more than likely what happened here. They said she was struck perhaps 3 or 4 times, adding that the blunt force trauma was located between her right forehead and her right temple. There were also a few other bruises that appeared to be on her upper left arm, right neck, and right jaw. They said she likely died within minutes of the attack. They said it was rapidly fatal.
Golly.
And I only heard the one thing about a gash in her chest, and then that goes away as well. So there's conflicting reports of exactly what the fuck they found, which is really irritating.
But it sounds like a very sustained,
beating
but
over
fast and savage, just aggressive beating.
Head. Yep. A toxicology report finalized later on showed a low to therapeutic amounts of commonly prescribed muscle relaxers and sleep aids in her system. Okay. So they turned to the mattress where they say they believed this happened. When they flipped the mattress over, they found a large pool of blood, indicating whoever did this flipped the mattress over.
The mattress.
The police also believe that Nancy had been dead for a couple days, like we said. Based on where the body was placed, they believe she had been attacked by 2 people because somebody would have had to carry her body to the closet.
Great point, yeah.
They said no blood on the carpet and wasn't dragged at all. And the detective says, I know how difficult it can be to move a body with 4 grown men. Me and my 3 friends kill people all the time.
We got a crew of killers out here.
All of us. He said, well, one person may be able to drag a body across a bedroom carpet. Based on my experience with dead bodies, even dragging a dead body a very short distance is extremely difficult. With all those factors, I believe it is unlikely for only one person to have been involved in moving, binding, and packaging the body.
Yeah. Dead weight is brutal, man. It's the reason that they call it that.
Yep. I mean, Nancy's not a big woman, but still, it's dead weight.
Right.
So after observing the closet, the one officer went outside and saw a large pile of plastic Force Flex trash bags leaning against the garage door, same bags that she had been wrapped in. Yep. There they are. They take Kathy to the hospital. They take her to the hospital where she was given a double dose of Ativan, which is a tranquilizer for anxiety, and she was escorted to the district courthouse where they began speaking with her to get a statement. Yeah. She said the same story about finding the body as she told 911, but she didn't bring up one detail she mentioned a few hours earlier when she was talking to the cop on the side of the road. She said she'd seen, when she first arrived at the house, she said she'd seen two people whom she knew quite well, Dr. William and Nancy Styler, driving away in their 2002 gray Jaguar sedan. Yeah. Okay. Now, before talking later on, she'd also told Pitkin County Sheriff Joe DeSalvo about running into the Stylers at Nancy's house that evening. Yet, when she sat down in the interrogation room, she doesn't bring this up at all to the cop. Okay, these are people that she's been having a big fight with. She told two cops, hey, I saw them one time at the house and then another time driving away as I pulled up, but then doesn't think that's important to mention to the cop in interrogation. Interesting. So she said that since the previous Sunday, the Stylers had returned to Nancy's house several times to retrieve their possessions and hadn't finished the job until that evening. That she was found dead. As they were leaving the house just after noon, Nancy Styler communicated with Kathy, called her up, indicating they'd be back later that evening to pick up the trash bags, like we said. But Kathy told the Gibson, this guy, that they never went back, which made the other times she said that she did see them at 5:45 p.m. very confusing. Why? So the DA, by the way, district attorney in the sheriff's office, they said that this person's death is suspicious and currently part of an active and ongoing investigation. They said the successful arrest and prosecution of a person or persons responsible will be the highest priority for this office. Not fucking around. They said that the Pfister family, Christina, the sister, she said that she'd been playing a game of telephone tag with the Aspen rumor mill, and it's not helping any of our family's grief. Not at all. She said, if people care about the family, I need them to shut it down. The pain is compounded by the gossip of well-meaning friends. It is very difficult in a small town, and it's not helpful speculating, and it's adding to the general confusion and chaos. So, yeah, she said that people say there are 7 wonders of the world, but I believe Nancy was the 8th. She was a force of nature. She'd have to be the 10th because Andre in China, you just can't do it. Sorry, it's the way it works. So they said, talked about all of her passions. She said she carried a bright light within her. This is the daughter, Juliana. Sometimes it was so bright it was hard to understand. It was like she wasn't even really from this world. It was so embracing and otherworldly. Wow, interesting. Now, the cops are going to look deep into this. They don't trust Kathy at all, the cops, by the way. They are very suspicious of her. So they send her 911 call to a guy named Colorado Bureau of Investigations, John Zamora. He passed it along to another guy in Denver. Now, what he notes in the report, this is, remember I said in 911 calls they analyze words you say and all that kind of shit? Yeah. This is what they're doing with this.
And the thing is, too, she left a house that has blood and a body. Yes. She left a house with blood in the first place and came back.
To say I didn't know if there could have been a murderer still in the house is fair. That's fine.
Sure.
That's a fine thing to do. I'm scared, whatever. But that's still, it doesn't look great. And her different stories are weird, too. First, I saw people, the people who would have wanted to hurt her, I saw them at the house right before I got there, and then that didn't happen, she says. So anyway, what they noted in the report was that Carpenter said, help me. Then she interrupted herself. She didn't immediately answer when the dispatcher asked for the address. They said she provided extraneous information about Pfister's dog. When the dispatcher asked if the defibrillator was in the house, who the fuck has that in the house, by the way?
Is there a heart thing in the house?
What the fuck? Carpenter paused before saying, is there what? Because, I would say that too. What the fuck do you want now? After listening to the tape, they prepared a transcript saying that Kathy had said she had seen blood on the victim's forehead and not the headboard. If she'd actually viewed the victim's bleeding forehead, which was impossible by glancing into the closet, then she would have had to have had done something more with the lump of sheets than merely look at them, because she was wrapped under plastic and sheets and everything else. So they said that caused them to believe that maybe she had placed the body into the bags herself.
Yeah, how would you know unless you viewed the body?
Yeah, they said, well, why hadn't she told everyone the same story about seeing the Stylers at the house that evening, too? She said, this is Glenwood Springs' lawyer, said, when I first met Kathy, she said she'd flunked her 911 call. And I told her that doesn't happen, but I guess it does. They sent a note. The cop sent a note back with his affidavit stating that Kathy said she saw blood on the forehead. I've listened to this tape 100 times, and Kathy says headboard, not forehead. But they mistranscribed it, so that became, they just went off of that. Once they transcribed it the first time, they never listened to the recording again. They just went off of the words.
Yeah.
So once it was forehead, it was forehead. Meanwhile, it was headboard on the actual recording. The CBI said she saw things she couldn't have seen without seeing the forehead, so they concluded that she must have seen the forehead and wrapped her up. They found, the people looking into this found 39 guilty indicators and 0 indicators of innocence in her call. So, yeah, that's not great. They also talk about talking about the Stylers and their Jaguar. And they said when they looked for him, it was parked at a Aspen hotel at 2:30 in the morning. They learned the couple was staying in room 122, and so they were going to go talk to them about that. Now, they also said that they heard from the people at the hotel that Dr. Styler, Trey, was so disabled by his debilitating illness that he couldn't even walk to the front door to register. Really? They'd go to him. Now, this 911 science, I'd like to talk about this for a minute. And science, I'm using air quotes for. Basically, there's a guy named Tracy Harpster, and he had a business. His business is this. It is a miracle method, as he puts it, to determine when 911 callers are guilty of the crimes they're reporting. He says, I know what a guilty father, mother, or boyfriend sounds like.
He's a 911 witcher.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the rods. Which right away, I don't believe anyone who says they have a special power. I don't believe that ever.
If you're the only one that can do it, then you can't do it either.
You can't do it. You're full of shit. That's how it goes. He tells people and prosecutors around the country that they can do the same. He said linguistic detection is possible, he claims, if you know how to analyze callers' speech patterns, their tone of voice, their pauses, their word choice, even their grammar. So, yeah, they said in this article, stripped of its context, a misplaced word as innocuous as hi or please or somebody can reveal a murderer, according to this guy.
What?
Yes. In his promotional flyers, he says he's personally consulted in more than 1,500 homicide investigations nationwide and promises that his training will let 911 operators know if they're talking to a murderer, give detectives a new way to identify suspects, and arm prosecutors with evidence they can exploit at trial. That is fucking... And he charges these cities $3,500 for 8-hour classes to do this.
Good Lord.
So he shows up making $3,500 a day. That's what he's selling. Now, in a 2020 study, experts from the Bureau's FBI Bureau, a behavioral analysis unit, that's the Mindhunter people, finally tried to see whether these methods had actual merit or not. They're like, let's look into it scientifically. They tested the guilty indicators against a sample of emergency calls, mostly from military bases, to try to replicate what they called, quote, groundbreaking 911 call analysis research. Instead, they ended up warning against using that research to bring actual cases.
Is that right?
They said that's a fun party trick and all, but all these people you say are guilty, we would say these people are guilty. These are people we know are not guilty.
Yeah. We tested this against known criminals that actually did it, and this is bullshit.
Yep. They said the indicators were so inconsistent that some went in the opposite direction of what was previously found. It's just a load of shit that this guy came up with to make money. Now, also, they look into the Stylers at 7:56 the night that they found Nancy's body. Starting at 7:56, Nancy Styler made a flurry of 13 phone calls to 6 people, according to a search warrant. The recipients included Kathy Carpenter, as well as Kathy Carpenter's mother, too.
Really?
She didn't know these people till they moved into the house.
Yeah, a month
ago. They've gotten real fucking close in the last 3 months, from late October to February, which is very interesting here. Now, the next day, authorities execute a search warrant on the Stylers' motel room, where they saw William Styler lying under covers in a bed. Trey appeared to be in decaying physical state, telling investigators he suffered from conditions similar to Lou Gehrig's disease. Both the Stylers were handcuffed and taken to the courthouse for interrogation. Later on, they talked to him then they talked to him the next day on the 28th of February, and they said, quote, this is about Nancy Styler, while reading her Miranda rights, Nancy Styler said she felt shocked that the police wanted to talk with her about the body found in the house and that she and her husband were renting. She said that she did not have anything to do with the body. This is in the middle of her Miranda rights. She says that. She tells the investigators that the couple had worked diligently throughout the past few days to complete the transition out of her home. She said at no time in that process were her and her husband separated from each other. They were always together, and their phones say that they were always together as well.
Okay.
That's the other thing.
That's not good.
Nancy admitted that she once had wanted to kill Nancy Pfister, but insisted it had just been an exaggeration in a moment of frustration. She said that. I could kill her. She said, quote, I said, I would like to wring her neck because she's such a drunk and making me so crazy. That's what she said. Yeah. And they talked to William, and William said, my condition is such that I don't think I could beat up a kid right now.
No?
So I'm all fucked up physically. Yeah, a 10-year-old would knock me over.
Children would take me out, yeah.
Then that same day, the town of Basalt facilities manager doing a routine check of bear-proofed trash bins in town, making sure they were all still bear-proof, I guess.
Make sure there's no leftovers getting eaten.
He found some shit in there, a bag with Nancy Pfister's name on prescription drug bottles, and also finds a blood-stained hammer in a small white trash bag.
How deep is he digging bear-proofing?
Very deep.
That's great.
Which was contained within a larger bag with some of Nancy's possessions, Nancy Pfister,
bagged. Yeah.
including her prescription medication bottles. They said, in addition, shortly after the victim's body was found, law enforcement located a trash bag containing a murder weapon as well as personal items belonging to both the Stylers and Nancy Pfister.
Oh, no.
And it was in the dumpster at their motel. The trash bag was found in close proximity to the Stylers' room at the Aspen Lodge in Basalt at the time the body was found. Then a motel employee reports finding a key with an oval tag connected to it that says owner's closet.
Yeah.
In the middle of the sidewalk, about 25 feet from the entrance to room 122, which is where they're staying.
We're being framed.
They're either being framed or they did some shit.
Yeah.
So that was passed on to police and soon identified as the second key to the upstairs master closet, obviously, clearly. Then there's a handyman that visited the Stylers at the Aspinall who knows them both. He's the guy who works on Nancy Pfister's house. And this handyman said Nancy Styler said she really hated Pfister, and that made him uncomfortable because she just was found dead, and so he left. The handyman, and he told the police about it.
She said that at the hotel.
At the hotel. Also that day, an investigator searched the Stylers' Jaguar, finding reddish-brown stains on the driver's side in both the front and back of the car.
Oh, no.
Also, shitload of cleaning supplies in the trunk as well.
Is that right?
Which cleaning supplies, if he just moved, that would make sense. But blood, I don't usually burst. Blood doesn't fly out of my blood vessels when I'm moving, usually.
Depends on how mad I am about this.
All right. So they carried out a search warrant on the car, taking swabs from the stains, an interior driver's door, and rear driver's side. They said they also obtained positive results from a test that can show the presence of human blood, also miscellaneous cleaning supplies, like we said. Among the items seized from the Stylers were 3 laptops, 2 iPads, 3 iPhones, a glass jar with suspected marijuana, who cares, and a bag with narcotic accessories, and 3 cameras. Search warrants were obtained to check all the digital shit here. So they also find a safety deposit box at Alpine Bank. We'll get into this here. The box was opened in 2003 in the name of Kathy Carpenter and Nancy Pfister, and superseded, whatever that is, we'll talk about, on November 19th, 2010 in Carpenter's name, the filing says, citing lease agreements turned over by the bank. Now, they found in the deposit box, they found Nancy Pfister's birth certificate, an expired driver's license belonging to Kathy Carpenter, and Kathy Carpenter's passport, a Garfield County court order from 2000 for a name change from Kathy Macris to Catherine Carpenter, Social Security cards and birth records for Carpenter's son, and a Chase Bank credit card, which apparently had been issued in both their names.
Why would they have that?
In Carpenter's Main Street apartment, they found they were looking for any and all human remains, DNA evidence, weapons, anything like that. Also, items found in her home allegedly included documents with Nancy Pfister's name and bank account information, which is totally fine.
Yeah, she's a banker.
She allegedly had in her home an item noted on a search warrant listed as safety deposit box key Nancy, which was found in a red envelope, a notebook, and a notepad that had Nancy's personal information and a box with documents related to the victim. And she said she was her personal banker. So, more documents with Nancy Pfister's name and bank account information were allegedly recovered from Carpenter's bedroom. On March 2nd, the lead investigator also found a ripped-up business card belonging to Nancy Styler in a trash can in Kathy Carpenter's house. Mm-hmm. Another search warrant was carried out in a basalt storage business, apparently used by Carpenter. Inside, according to a document, were a light blue towel with a stain, a small hammer, a left shoe with a red stain, a hose with a red stain, a lint tray from a dryer, and a pillow with a red stain.
These are all Kathy's?
This is all in Kathy Carpenter's storage unit here. That is not great. Investigators also sought for surveillance footage to see when this shit was put in there. So what they do is they're going to arrest the Stylers.
Yeah.
Kathy told the investigators that Nancy Styler told her many times that she was going to kill Nancy Pfister and implied many times that something bad was going to happen to Nancy Pfister. Yeah. Kathy Carpenter's mother told the cops that she recently overheard Nancy Styler say she would kill Nancy Pfister. Mm-hmm. And then Nancy Pfister allegedly unnerved Pfister's handyman by saying, "I really did hate Nancy," to the handyman. So the evidence they have: hammer found in a trash can. The trash bag was found contained Trey's DNA. Mm-hmm. No fingerprints on the murder weapon, though. In the other items found in the trash bag, 10 bottles of prescription medication with Nancy's name on them, Nancy Pfister, her passport and driver's license.
Not good.
An airline boarding pass in her name. All this was found with the Stylers' registration papers for their Jaguar. Miscellaneous paperwork in the Stylers' name and a receipt for an Aspen post office box in William Styler's name.
Okay.
Wow. Then there's the key to the closet, and the same type of trash bag as the one used to wrap her body was found in the Stylers' Jaguar as well. It ain't good.
So much, yeah.
It ain't good. Then they give polygraph tests to William Styler and Kathy Carpenter on February 27th and 28th. And they both denied any wrongdoing in the case. Now, they were very suspicious about Kathy. Her accounts of the night in question appeared to be inconsistent with the eyes of investigators. She told a deputy sheriff, who was a good friend of Nancy's, that she saw the Stylers and then said she didn't see the Stylers. All of this different shit. They also said they found out within 24 hours of finding Nancy Pfister's body, Kathy Carpenter took $6,000 in cash and jewelry from Nancy Pfister's safe deposit box at the Alpine Bank where she worked. Carpenter had used the money to pay for her son's plane ticket back home, along with some of the funds going to his college tuition. She indicated when called on it that she wanted to give the jewelry to Nancy's daughter, Juliana. She said, I was going to save that. She said, I don't know. But the authorities say she tried to cover up that she went into the box and stole this shit. There's also a suspicious statement here from Kathy where they said that the DA's office said that Kathy Carpenter said when she opened the door to the closet where the body was found, she glanced inside and left. Now, the body was completely covered by layers of blankets and wrapped in trash bags underneath. The victim's body is described at one point in court papers as looking like a pile of laundry. That's what the investigators said. Mm-hmm. They said due to the layer of blankets, it was not possible to tell if there was a body under the coverings. There's no way to fucking tell it. The cops didn't know. Yeah. There was a body. They said it looked like a pile of laundry.
You have to open it and unwrap the gift to know what's in it.
Yeah, that's it. So the Carpenter told the investigator she was able to see a strand of blonde hair that had blood on it.
No.
Impossible, though. It's physically impossible. She
was
was
all
totally
wrapped
covered
up
by 3 layers. Carpenter also told them she had not done anything to manipulate the coverings in any way that would allow her to see things, including blood on the blonde hair there. So they said, based on what I viewed at the scene, it would not have been possible for Catherine Carpenter to have seen Nancy Pfister's hair and blood, and she could not have been able to identify the body as Nancy Pfister either. Right. No way, unless she unwrapped her and rewrapped her. They said Nancy Pfister's head was in a white garbage bag that was at least partially translucent, is what Kathy's people say. They say you could see blood and hair through the bag, and you could see that in a picture that was taken at the scene. And Carpenter never said she saw blood on the victim's forehead. That was mistranslated from the 911 tape. She always denied seeing the forehead. So let's give her a polygraph. Let's find out here.
Okay.
So they do. According to the questions, did you cause the death of Nancy Pfister? Do you know for sure who caused the death of Nancy Pfister? She answered no to both. And the agent with the CBI who's administering the test, Rosa Perez, Rosie's sister, said, fucking
Billy, I want the screw.
Billy. That's all I keep thinking.
Oh, you're so stupid, Billy.
Oh, man. She said she administered the lie detector test, said all of her answers were deceptive, and then made the same conclusions about, what is a quint? About William Styler as well. Mm-hmm. Neither of them were telling the truth.
Wow.
So, the polygraph information contained in the arrest affidavit released said that, they both lied, and that's that. So they're going to arrest everybody.
Really?
Nancy, Kathy, and Trey. All arrested, all being charged with murder. First degree. Now, the bank people are shocked that Kathy would kill anybody.
Yeah.
The manager said, she worked for us for 20 years and did a good job. Everyone's a little shocked, surprised, and confused by the whole thing. They said she was a teller/customer service rep hybrid, and she's been doing that for a long time. And they said she had been doing something right to have remained with the bank for 2 decades.
Sure.
She lived in her housing was paid for by them. They said one other Aspen resident who didn't want to be identified said she knew Carpenter through church. She described Kathy as a beautiful lady filled with love and compassion who never says an unkind word about anyone. Out of her kind heart, she was doing her job with integrity. She said Kathy is tender-hearted, always readily available to say a kind word and to encourage. Yeah, she said, I've known Kathy for many years, and this is unfair and preposterous that she's being portrayed by the press as some kind of criminal. There's no possible way that she was involved in this crime.
There's a lot of evidence.
There's a lot of evidence of it. Yeah, it doesn't look good. She's contacting the other couple a lot, too. Yeah. Now, this goes on. This is her lawyer says, what was done to Nancy could not have been done easily by one person. The autopsy report says that she died without a struggle. If someone had wanted to kill her, if they'd known her habits, all they'd have to do was wait till the end of the night when she was drinking or taking drugs and had become incapacitated. Then she couldn't put up any resistance. Her lifestyle invited trouble. Many people around Aspen were aware of that and could have simply come in while she was asleep and attacked her. Nancy could be very nice to people she thought were at her level socially and economically, but if she felt you were beneath her, she could really piss you off. Over the years, how many people in Aspen do you think she pissed off?
Okay.
Well, all those service people are probably pissed off by every rich dick shit in town that treats them like shit. So to single her out, she'd have to be the worst offender of all.
Perhaps it was just Jack Nicholson.
That could have been anybody. Could have been fucking... Do we know where Kurt Russell has been? Do we know? We don't know where Costner's up to, what he's doing.
Where's Wyatt?
We don't know. So now investigators kept talking to her, and they kept asking her why she took the money and things like that, and she gave wrong answers on that one as well. Her lawyer said the polygraph was not a valid test. They noted that Kathy Carpenter was having an emotional reaction to the words "death of Nancy Pfister." They asked her to not have an emotional reaction to that in order to do the test. Every time I say "death of Nancy Pfister," you can't start crying because that fucks the whole test up.
Stop being so hysterical.
Yeah, stop it. Come on, you're being an emotional broad. Let's go. He said requesting Kathy Carpenter to not have an emotional reaction to the death of Nancy Pfister is an impossibility. Now, they hold a memorial for her at the Hotel Jerome, her favorite place. Hundreds of people are there. Famous people are there. It's a big deal. It's a big Aspen. It's just Aspen's social event of the season here.
I can't imagine.
So they have a hearing. All three of these idiots occur in court. And Nancy Styler tried to make eye contact with a large group of Nancy Pfister's friends and family in the courtroom. However, most of them wouldn't look at her. Christina, Nancy's sister, Nancy Pfister's sister, her Pfister sister, sat a few rows up from the daughter. And Juliana, the daughter, told the news that she couldn't believe someone would kill her mother because of an alleged rent dispute. She said, how could someone just be so angry that they got kicked out of a house? That's not something to be more. It's hard to understand that. So I guess if you have no other place to live, I guess it's understandable.
Never been evicted.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think she's had much housing insecurity in her life. So, I mean, I get it. She's sad her mom died. But Nancy's dog, by the way, people are going to think, what happened to Gabe? County Sheriff Joe DeSalvo took in the dog, Gabe.
Really?
So, yeah, he said, good dog, I'll take him. So that's fine. So Gabe has a home. Nobody else wanted Gabe, apparently.
Really?
So, yeah, the daughter couldn't take care of him or whatever. So he said, I'll fucking take him if nobody else wants him.
Black Labradoodle. He's a big dog.
Yeah,
that's all.
He's a big dog. Probably fun. Sit him in the front of one of those.
He's so busy.
One of those old Ford Broncos or Chevy Blazers they drive through the mountains there. Now, the district attorney said they will solve this and get this case in court yesterday.
Yeah.
Quote, this is a very important case. It just doesn't happen in Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not allow it to happen.
Never will.
So this is all going on now. June 20th, 2014. So they all sit in jail for 3 months, the three of them, awaiting trial. June 20th, 2014, Dr. Trey has something to say.
He needs compassion.
He came in there. He said, I want to talk to detectives. They sat him down, and he said, I did it. They said, pardon? He said, I fucking did it. I killed her. I did all of it, and I did it by myself. Go fuck yourselves. Put me in fucking prison and let everybody else go. That's what he said. He said that included walking up the stairs, seeing her sleeping, walking down to his toolbox in the garage for the hammer, walking back up the stairs, beating the shit out of her, going all the way back down to get garbage bags to cover her body, moving her into the closet, carrying her on his own, and flipping the blood-stained mattress to hide the stains. I did it all by myself.
Incredible. I can't even move my mattress off my bed.
He said he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
He had Lou Gehrig's disease 3 days ago. He was incapacitated, but now he's...
It's Lou's too. I've got Lou's too, and I can still move mattresses?
That's it. He said that doesn't matter. He said at the time of the crime, which was about 10 a.m. on February 24th, he said. So the cops were way off. They thought it was the 25th in the morning. So good job, guys. He was able to walk and had more physical strength than he did since being in jail. He said the adrenaline effect is the only way I can explain that.
Really?
But up and down, back and forth, your adrenaline doesn't last that long. It doesn't.
It's when you can lift a Volkswagen, James. That's what he did.
It's a very temporary thing, though. It doesn't last for an hour and a half of adrenaline. That doesn't work. You're tired of it by then. He said he acted alone and didn't even tell his wife about it. She didn't even know it happened. He said, I didn't want to add to her stress levels, because she was sick and all that.
And being evicted.
He said he never intended to harm Nancy Pfister, at least while he stepped into her bedroom and found her sleeping. That wasn't the intention. He said he went alone to the home merely to confront her and warn her against trying to block their efforts to regain their possessions. That was it. I just told her, I want my shit back. He said if I told my wife my plan, she would have never gone along with me, or she would have never let me do it, and no matter how stressed she was about the financial situation. So they said to him, so why was your wife's cell phone hitting the tower closest to the address the whole time, the same as yours? Why was your phone and her phone in the same place if she wasn't there?
He brought it with him.
He said, I don't know.
What?
He said,
why would he say that?
I don't know why it would have been pinging off the tower. It's conceivable that it might have been in my bag that I took with me, but I didn't knowingly take the phone with me, and she definitely wasn't there.
Okay.
So he accidentally knocked his wife's cell phone just into a bag, and she didn't notice it or care.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
2017, you left the
2013.
house. You left the house with somebody else's cell phone on accident, and she didn't know?
Didn't even notice. Didn't care.
She was candy crushing, man.
She was doing something. Angry Bird and some shit. He also said that he didn't make any phone calls while he was at Nancy Pfister's house. When he returned to the hotel room about noon or 1, his wife was still asleep, so she never even noticed.
She slept right through it.
And so the cop says, and you want me to believe that you had no help in that room? And Styler said, I'm telling you I had no help in that room.
Okay.
And interesting. So he said that he himself had never committed an act of violence against anybody until that morning. He said, but watching her sleep, he had an irresistible impulse that came over him. And he said it was one tied to his belief that he could ease his wife's stress and erase their problems by killing Nancy Pfister. He said, so he got a hammer, and he told investigators it was not a decision in the sense that I usually use that word. He said more like he lost his rational mind, quote unquote. He said, the thought occurred to me that she was there and she was vulnerable, helpless, and the threat could be removed immediately. So he said, why not? He said he walked into her house, called out her name, didn't get a response, looked into her bedroom, found her sleeping. Said, fuck it, why not? He got the hammer. He said, I went and I got the hammer, came back and struck her in the head. To be honest, I was surprised that the hammer penetrated as deeply as it did.
What?
I thought the skull was a stronger bone than that. He put the hammer through her fucking skull.
Yeah.
The doc should know better. He said, but even though it was so severe, I wasn't sure that it would be immediately fatal, and this may seem hard to believe, but there was a part of me that said, okay, I've committed to this course of action. What I don't want, well, there's a lot of things I didn't want, but what I was thinking about at that moment was that I did not want her to become conscious and aware of what was going on. And she had not reacted at all to the first blow. In retrospect, it may have been unlikely she would have regained consciousness at all. But to ensure that, I hit her again in the front of the head, knowing that the frontal lobes are important for consciousness.
Yeah.
And I believe I hit her again after that. He hit her many more times, actually. He said that, again, making sure that she could not regain consciousness and be aware of what was happening or suffer in any significant way with what was happening. He said he beat her with a hammer. It was a spontaneous act. And then he hastily used what he had to cover up the crime.
What the fuck?
Yep. He said that he thought that he should get the body out of sight and try to create the impression that she had voluntarily left the house, which she's been known to do spontaneously and unexpectedly from the stories we heard. She disappeared for days or weeks at a time. So that's why they got rid of all the prescription and her passport, like she took off. When a body should have been gone
you
too.
Left that. You left her.
She must be gone. I mean, her passport isn't here. Her body is, but her passport isn't. Where'd she go?
She's got to be gone.
Wow. And they said, after all these bad things that have happened, we finally met the right person, and she's going to help us instead of hurt us and all that. But then she was mean to us, and poor me, poor me, poor me. He said after the murder, in an rushed attempt to hide his crime, he placed a garbage bag on her head to contain the blood, pulled her off the bed onto a sheet, and used the extension cord to bind her legs close to her head so the body would fit in another garbage bag. He then dragged the body into the closet. She said, I dragged it. I didn't take it. But they were saying, like, the way the carpet was and everything, it probably wasn't a drag. Okay. Yeah. They said to make it look like she left on her own volition, he swept her prescription medication, cell phone, boarding pass, and pearl necklace, which she wears all the time, into the bag. He said they were sort of her signature, the pearls. She never went out without her pearls on, so they had to go. The pearls were in the bag that they found in the garbage there. He said to leave the pearls behind would be inconsistent with the concept I was trying to achieve. I've never heard that in a murder interrogation before. Well, that would have been inconsistent with the concept I was trying to achieve.
That's the doctor, man. And also, that's a lot of covering up. This is a lot of capital shit he's describing.
This is a lot of premeditation. Yeah, this is bad. He said that while he said he was, quote, still reluctant to say these things, there's a part of me that doesn't want to believe, and then there's a pause, and he said, shit, what have I done, and what the hell have I done now? Like, why'd I tell you this shit? Now I'm really fucked.
Well, your wife has said way too much long before you did this, so
absolutely,
there's no way to say that she didn't have anything to do with this.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yes. It also, there's phrases in your rights forms that he takes very seriously.
Yeah.
One says, I understand that in what I'm doing, no promises or threats have been made to me or no pressure or coercion has been used against me. But during the interview, he says his confession is dependent on those promises. He said, I want you to promise me shit. He said, well, one specific promise regarding my wife's dismissal and release. I wanted to make sure this doesn't undo that in some fashion.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's fucking wild. Now, he ends up saying, I'll plead guilty, let them go. So as soon as he does, they fucking cut Nancy and Kathy loose.
Really?
Yeah, which is insane. He didn't do this by himself.
Inconceivable.
His wife was with him. Yeah. Nancy was with him.
She
sorry.
said she wanted
you
to kill him.
You can say allegedly so she doesn't sue us, but I believe in my heart she was with him and helping him with this.
That's wild.
So, yes, he pleads a plea, and he's been in a wheelchair since his arrest, and he comes into court looking like he's 100 and father time himself being wheeled in.
Like that guy's capable of this.
Yep, and he said, I am guilty, Your Honor, is what he said. Second-degree murder he's going to plead guilty to. As he was wheeled out of the courtroom, first-degree murder charges and against Kathy were dismissed. And she left the courtroom in her street clothes, went right out the door, and she told reporters that the case on her was still open because they let her go, but they didn't dismiss the charges completely.
Got it, yeah.
But Nancy Styler, part of his deal was she is off the hook.
Yeah.
So she was charged with first-degree murder. She was released, and unlike Carpenter, the case against her was closed. She will never be charged for the murder ever.
Mm.
So that is fucking wild. The Pfister family was there like, what the fuck, man? This is crazy.
Yeah.
So during sentencing, Pfister's relatives asked the Chief District Judge James Boyd to impose the maximum sentence of 32 years for second-degree murder. And Juliana, the daughter, was critical of the media, in particular for labeling her mother as a socialite. She said she was a philanthropist. Same thing. It's fine. It's not socialite's not an insult. We poor people, maybe among rich people, socialite's an insult, like whatever. But among poor people, that just means rich. We just think that means rich when you say socialite.
Socialite means a rich person that has the most fun.
Yeah, a fun rich person with a lot of friends. That's what that means.
A rich person means they could be miserable. A socialite is having a party.
They're having a party, but I mean, we don't even know because when you're poor, rich and miserable is better than poor and miserable. You don't care. Socialite just means rich, and that's great for you. You know what I mean?
That's what everybody wants to be if they can get rich.
So just know, rich people, Juliana, especially you, because I feel bad for you, when someone calls her a socialite, they don't mean it as an insult unless they're a fellow rich person.
It's the highest compliment from us.
But if we say it, that means you're like a unicorn. You know what I mean? Like it's a compliment.
Do a lot of smiling with that money.
Fuck. So Juliana asked also that the judge give the maximum allowable prison time.
Yeah.
Christina Pfister addressed the court, saying that the ordeal has been frustrating, obviously harrowing. She said, I truly believe that we will never know all of the true facts, but as a Christian woman, it's not my job to be a judge and jury of these people. Vengeance is mine is the scripture that comes to mind. People always get their judgment in the end. And he gets his judgment right now. You, sir, may fuck off. 20 years he gets, not 32, in a Department of Corrections prison in the medical facility. So not really prison, essentially. I mean, prison, but not really prison.
Yeah, he can't leave. He's
no one's
going
to rape him
forever.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. He's not scared of some young guy attacking him in the shower, which is the important part.
He's in the
That's what's bad about prison.
A hospital that he's used to being in.
Yeah, he's fine. So Juliana's upset about it, too.
Yeah.
She said, it's second-degree murder. I don't understand that. It upsets me. There are such things as an eye for an eye.
Oh, Juliana.
Christina said, I saw Mr. Styler walking around just fine before he was arrested, and I'm not interested in him being comfortable.
Atta girl.
Doesn't fucking care. So Kathy, like we said, was set free this very day.
Yeah.
They said that they wouldn't levy charges against her. She spent 96 days in jail, by the way. Mm-hmm. Her attorneys contend that her arrest record should be sealed and that the damage to her life has been enough because she's innocent. I don't know about that. Hearing is set for August 11th for Carpenter to decide whether the shit gets released or sealed or whatever the fuck here. Kathy's attorneys also said they were very frustrated because of this. Their client was in jail. They said she's unemployed. She's homeless now because she called 911. Because they said because of that, she got arrested. Also because she was in contact with the murderers all throughout the whole fucking thing. That's the main reason why. And she did some weird shit. So the prosecutor said, in light of William Styler's confession and statement that he alone was responsible for the death and subsequent hiding of the body, we dismissed the case against his wife, Nancy Styler. With this new evidence, it became clear that we would not be able to establish that Mrs. Styler played any role in the death of Nancy Pfister. If he's just saying, I did it, here's how I did it, she didn't do it, there's no way to crack through that.
They got no evidence she did it.
Yeah. They said, after careful review of the evidence against Ms. Carpenter and in light of the statements of William Styler, we realize that the evidence we have to prove her involvement is also inadequate to proceed to trial, so we dismissed charges against her as well. Now, the Sheriff DeSalvo, the one with the dog, he said he remains convinced that the evidence in early March was strong enough to make his arrests. Yeah, if one person didn't confess and say, I did it and nobody else did it, I think everybody's going to prison here at that point. Probably, I think all three of them are going. He says, just because Mr. Styler told us, it doesn't mean it's true. He said, we need to corroborate the things he said. That's what a good investigator would do. Believing a man who just admitted to a homicide is not the prudent thing to do. Yeah. That's a really good point, especially when he's trying to get things out of it.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I
with
mean?
the cell phone evidence, they could almost prove conspiracy, which that's absolutely capital, right? And Colorado, forget it, man.
Makes sense. So they said he's going to remain at the Pitkin County Jail until a place is found for him in the prison system that can medically deal with him. The cop says, believe me, this is no Club Fed. This is still in the State Department of Corrections. Medical services will be available. It doesn't mean it's going to be a light or easy ride for him. This will be hard time. This will be real time. Yuff. He said, what makes a plea bargain is a strong case. He said, we had a strong case. That's why this happened. He said, we did a righteous investigation. We covered a lot of bases and didn't leave a lot of doors open for defense attorneys to walk through.
Yeah, the leverage was such that he gave up.
He gave up. Yeah, that's it. He said, fuck it. I'm fucked anyway. At least let my wife go off here. So he said also that he hopes the community is happy about the plea deal because he said this would have been a 2-year ordeal for all of us, me, the family, and the whole community, and I think it would have taken a big toll on many people. I think it's a good resolution, and I learned early on in law enforcement not to get too invested in these things because they will tear you up inside. Today we have a guilty plea with a sentence of a person who I truly believe killed Nancy. Whether or not there were accomplices, the investigation will continue to bear that out. Now, how crippled is he is the question we all want to know.
That's what we got to know.
The issue of the medical condition arose when the district attorney's office agreed as a part of the plea deal to recommend state prison officials that he be placed in a medical facility. And he's currently being held at the Denver Reception and Diagnostic Center, where all new inmates are processed and assessed before they're assigned to prison. Yeah. So they said that he said that the one cop said, I don't think he had the physical ability to do it. That he was physically able to put a body in that closet. He was very frail and you could figure out when you shook his hand, he was very thin. He said he weighed about 140 pounds. He didn't fucking do this. If you're in bad physical condition and slight, you're not dragging dead weight.
Yeah.
You're not even dragging it. It's so heavy.
You're not flipping a fucking mattress. Those are so hard to flip.
They're so fucking hard to flip. They are. And get it back in place and all that sort of thing.
How big was it? There's a lot of questions I got.
Man, so Suzanne, Nancy's Pfister sister, files a restraining order against Kathy Carpenter.
Good.
Because she had a confrontation with her in the past, and she said she's afraid for her and her son. It's a temporary restraining order, and she wrote that basically, I'm afraid for she knows where I live. I'm afraid for myself and my son. The DA told me she would be released. So now, Nancy Styler after this said, I'm just trying to resume my life.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just trying to, quote, heal and come to terms with what happened here.
Yeah.
Well, we think you killed a lady and got away with it. That's what we think happened here, allegedly. So, her lawyer who represented her declined to speak about the way his client was arrested, but the attorneys for her said that she never should have been arrested and charged in the first place. That's all they would say. They said, without any lack of respect to the judge who signed the arrest warrant, I was astonished that probable cause was ever found to arrest Nancy Styler. all of the lady's shit, including the murder weapon, were outside. You might as well have been on your porch. You might as well have.
Yeah.
You put shit outside hotel rooms to be picked up. They might as well have had like a Domino's pizza box and then like the murder weapon sitting on top of it. Just toss this. What the fuck, man? That is fucking insane. So he says, at no time did I feel the discovery process was revealing worrisome or incriminating facts about my client. So I was pretty shocked. They said they think Nancy was a suspect simply because she was married to their prime suspect.
Okay.
And her cell phone says she was there during the murder. That too. Little things like that. Couldn't have been carried by one person,
And that phone is ringing so many people.
So many people.
And there's so many things to talk about, too. What do you have? What do I have? Where are we? Who's doing what?
So much. What are you hiding?
There's so much conversation to be had.
Man, so they said, once we got the statement from William Styler, we acted very fast and made a decision to dismiss against other defendants. His lawyer says, her lawyer says, law enforcement's arrest of her took my client's freedom away for over 100 days.
93. Oh, yeah.
It could have been forever, dude. Yeah. So you're lucky there. Early 2015, this is interesting. Nancy divorces Trey.
Why?
While he's in prison, okay? Goes back to her maiden name of Masson, Masson.
Yeah.
July 10th, 2015, Nancy files for bankruptcy.
Okay.
Due to lack of income. Her bankruptcy petition lists $26,110 in assets and $91,982 in liabilities.
Yeah.
Her debts are derived from credit card charges, loans, and collection agencies. Her assets include the 2002 Jaguar, which is valued at $3,600 at this point.
Yeah.
She also lives. They said she lives in Massachusetts. Also owns a kayak worth $300.
She's killing it.
Wow, and $15,000 worth of skincare products and machines. Okay. August 6, 2015. Trey is dead.
Really?
Hanged himself in his cell.
Oh, shit.
Yep. They said at this point, it looks like suicide. He doesn't have a cellmate. He's all by himself in there.
He did.
So they said the death happened approximately 5:30 in the morning. He didn't leave a note. He used part of a bed sheet to hang himself. And the sheriff, who was one of several law enforcement agencies, it's DeSalvo again, said that he was obviously tortured by the crime he committed, and prison is a tough environment to survive in, especially if you're 67 years old. And especially because your wife's claiming bankruptcy and this happens then. Nancy is then the beneficiary of a $1 million life insurance policy taken out. Remember the suicide clause?
Yeah, so she... What the shit? They are diabolical, man.
He killed himself to give her money.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, the 7-figure sum collected was shielded by the bankruptcy as well.
Right.
So they said it's a very old insurance policy, noting that it was over 10 years old, and they said there was an exemption for it. And as part of the bankruptcy agreement, she will pay $150,000 to a bankruptcy trustee, and the trustee would then distribute those funds to her creditors. They said it may very well be that she has overpaid, but that's just a safe number in case debtors claim some higher number than we anticipated. 2015, Nancy Styler writes a fucking book on this.
What?
You motherfucker. I don't like this at all. It's called Guilt by Matrimony. It's just poor me, woe is me for the whole fucking time.
I'm guilty because I married a murderer.
She described Nancy Pfister horribly in this fucking book. Describes her as mentally ill, volatile alcoholic, so unhappy in life that her husband, who confessed to the crime, said sometimes he thought murdering her with a hammer was the nicest thing anybody did for Nancy Pfister. She put that in a book and then went to sell it, and someone went, I'll publish that, sure.
Knew her for 90 days and said that about her.
352-page book with this bullshit. I don't even know what the fuck to say about that. That is
She wrote 350 pages.
Fucking ridiculous. Sheriff DeSalvo said, throwing those kind of stones at a woman who's been the victim of a murder is a horrible thing to do.
Truly.
That's right in line with the kind of people we're talking about. You don't need to do that. She's dead. Your husband killed her. Leave it alone. Yes, it fucking is. Even in this thing, they say that the Pfister family hosted the X Games with a chapter entitled Trey to the Rescue. And it ends with William Styler slipping quietly out of their hotel room, taking his wife's cell phone with him so she could sleep. That's why she said he took it.
Just in case it rang.
Quote, like always, Trey wanted to fix things for his beautiful wife. He wanted nothing more than to return the gift she'd given him during the last few tremulous years of life. He would save her somehow, and then he killed himself.
Wow,
he admitted to everything and killed himself. Wow. That is fucking bonkers. The book ends with an investigator for the defense team purportedly finding evidence that exonerates her. Great. A guy I paid said I'm innocent. Terrific. Yeah.
That is amazing. Only in America.
And that is fucking remarkable. And then in 2016, Juliana sues for wrongful death, and they give her $850,000, which was every dime she got out of that insurance settlement besides the $150,000 to creditors. So fuck yourself, Nancy Styler.
Well done.
The source book for this, by the way, Shadow on the Mountain, Nancy Pfister, Dr. William Styler, and the Murder of Aspen's Golden Girl. See why I couldn't tell you that in the beginning? You'd know the whole story. By Stephen and Joyce Singular. Yeah. So check that out. What a fucking crazy story. That's insane.
My God.
I don't know what these people were thinking.
She's still alive, huh?
No. Oh, she's out there. Yeah, writing books and being an asshole and everything else. I hope she hears this and dislikes it a lot.
I hope that money for your book pays for your whole life, lady.
I really do.
I don't think it does.
And by the way, you should post publicly on our social media pages complaining about it, lady, because last time when a lady in Arkansas who murdered her dad did that, it went very well for her. It went very well for her.
Yeah.
She didn't have hundreds of people
but they crowned
ripping her to shreds.
They crowned her princess of the internet. So if you want some credit.
So if you'd like attention, that's a real good way to get it. You won't like what kind of attention you get, but you'll get plenty. So you can follow us on social media at Small Town Murder on Instagram, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Murder Small on Twitter, and you should do that. You should also tell everyone you know about this. Not Nancy, but everybody else.
Nancy, tell everybody how mad you are.
Tell everyone how mad you are. Make sure you say Small Town Murder.
Yes. Yeah,
because we'll happily talk about what a twat you seem to be. So we have no problem doing it. That's why when I was saying in the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to say this about cancer because we both have the cancer thing and our family people are sick. But this fucking bitch deserves to have no tits. I'm sorry. Fuck her. I fuck this lady. Something.
I'd love to take my mom's cancer and put it right inside you.
Right. That's what I mean. So I want to say if anybody deserves cancer, it's probably this lady, but I'm not sure. It's fucking awful. Wow. Obviously, I don't want anybody to have cancer, but fuck, man, that's brutal.
Dick.
Yeah, give us 5 stars on whatever app you're listening on. It really, really helps the show out a lot. We don't know why, but it helps drive us up the charts. So do that. Certainly come hang out with us. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. Tickets for live shows. Yeah. We have September 20th, State Theater in Minneapolis. Get your asses in there. Yeah. Virtual live show for Halloween. If you say, I do other stuff on Halloween, then you have it for 2 weeks. Right. It's available after that. Watch it as many times or whenever you want. We're going to be in costumes. It'll be just like a regular live show. The pictures, all that stuff, but you'll be in your house doing whatever the fuck you want. So do that. We can't wait. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. Head over to Patreon.com/Crime in Sports. That gets you all the bonus material. Yeah. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get a whole back catalog with hundreds of episodes, new ones every other week, including this week we have for Crime in Sports, which you have access to. We are going to talk about James Pud Galvin, who was the first steroid user in sports that I can find in 1889. You just need to know what they were made out of. Yeah. What animal's balls put this shit together?
What do you drink?
Then for Small Town Murder, we're going back into the archives and doing some very fun stuff. A favorite here among our Patreon listeners, old-timey murders.
Oh, yeah.
Newspaper archives, they have some crazy descriptions of shit in the early 1900s. So we're going to hear all about that. Patreon.com/Crime in Sports. And you get a shout out.
Yeah.
When do you get that shout out? Right fucking now. Jimmie, hit me with the names of the people who would never, ever kill us, lie about it, then write a book. Jimmie, hit me with them right fucking now.
This week's executive producers are Haley Walls, Gary Howard, Cassandra Watson, Ben Cartledge. Thank you, Ben. What a great... That guy is so... I love him. He's
a good man.
Fucking Ireland. He's a terrific guy. And Jess, great. Brady Widener? I don't know. Brady Widner or Widener. Maybe Weedner. I don't know. His wife's birthday is the 16th. I've been trying to tell you this.
Brady.
But look, he didn't tell me her name. So, Mrs. Widener.
Mrs. Widener, happy birthday to you.
Yeah, and your husband's a dipshit and doesn't give us your name.
Tell Brady to give more complete instructions next time.
Get off your ass, man. And Jeff Cox wants to say something to me, but evidently it didn't make it past my filters in Facebook. I don't know. He messaged the page and said he wants to say something, but he didn't say it. So sorry, Jeff.
I don't know what to tell you.
Get off your ass, man. Other producers this week are Peyton Meadows, Jason Burt, Janice Hill, Benjamin Dolaire, I think Dolaller. I think that's an I. Caitlin Kinsman, also Caitlin Middleton.
Oh,
yeah, it's
really?
2 Caitlins. That's crazy.
Kate Middleton gave us money? Well, they got enough over there. Good. Save it and tell your husband to get some plugs. How's that?
Also, is that the lady that's fighting cancer too? I think she's kicking its ass. Is that the one? Yeah, good
probably.
For you,
she's in the royal family. What do you think? Come on.
I'm sure she's not going to lose that battle.
No, she's going to some underground, ocean facility where they give her fucking...
They send her down at a submarine to fix it.
They just squeeze a baby brain till the juice comes out and drip it into her mouth or some shit. I don't know.
Inject it into her brainstem.
Yeah.
You'll be fine in a week.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
Melissa Jensen, Warren Jacobs, Rachel Hudson, Katie Adam, Elise with no last name, Jenny Murphy, Agrees Daters. I don't know. Shauna with no last name. I don't know how to say agrees, daters, dieters, agree. Agree, dieters. I sound like an asshole no matter what. Trevor Hyde, Julie Renard, Jimmy Conway. Is that right?
Hey, Jimmy Conway from
Casino.
These silences, they don't fucking fit. Get out this fucking drugs to turn your mind into mush.
Look at your muffin. Look at my muffin.
Exactly.
Lindsay Nichols, Willie Stroker. I'll bet that's not your name. Sadie May, Kelsey McCoy, Kristen Smith, Wesley Crawford, Dirty Wolf. I'll bet that's not their name. Tesla with no last name. John McCullum III. I'll bet that is their name. Lindsay Neltner, Michael Tippett, Diego Benavidez, Heidi Solos, Jack with no last name, Takunda Takai. Tukai. All right. Danielle Scholl. I'm not going to get any closer. Terry with no last name. Laura with no last name. Molly Nelson. Daniela Alzate. Samantha Frakes. Amanda Nielsen. Elisa Chrysler. Stefan with no last name. Maybe it's Steven. Devin Bolson. Ginger Lenzini, Trisha Stone, W.E. Titsworth. All right. Stephen Patrick, Adrian with no last name, Shane B., Christy Stevens, Teresa Taylor, Jay Money, Jethan Staley, Lauren with no last name, but that's a guy, but he's tough as nails. They always are.
They usually are.
Yeah, it's Loren. That's a dude's name. That's a cowboy. That man that'll change. That guy will change your tire with no lug nut wrench.
Or a small Canadian Jewish man. One of the two.
One of the two.
Who doesn't know when it's time to take the show off the air? Hey, Lauren, it's time. It's been time for quite a while now. We're all checking our watches.
It's over.
Yeah, it's been over.
Adam Hansen, CCRD, Jessica Olsen, Angel Noel. Did I say Lena Cara? I did. Adam Hansen,
She's good enough to say twice.
Cole Flint, Damian Flaga, Walter Cardoza, Elizabeth Rose, not what? Who pronounces that? Rose. Molly Coffin, Amanda Cassells, NKOK, Susie McDonald, Casey Bishop, Sadie, or maybe Sade. Oh, that's Sadie. Solomon, she has no last name there. It's just Sadie.
Smooth operator, isn't she?
Yeah. Solomon Golding, Lauren Knight, Hunter Salter, Xavier Blevins, Julie Singleton, Angela Schaefer, Helter Skelt. They don't skelt her. They just skelt one way. Christina Newsom. Christina with no last name. Rachel Fernandez. Shiloh with no last name. Heather Connery. Not maybe. Spelled the same way. Sean's kiddo. Grand kiddo.
He's coming for it. He's got enough money for us, too. Good.
I'll take Sean's money. Caitlin.
Give me your money.
Frubend. Alyssa Zalvis, Stephen Scott, Stefan maybe, David Reed, Sean Monig, Michael Bollinger, Colleen with no last name, Seamus Waldron, Amanda Peterson. What was the guy? What was the Yankees announcer?
I know.
That's what I felt like.
You felt like
Seamus Waldron. Waldron. Amanda Peterson, Zachary Woody, Mostly Maggie, Stacy Knutson, Nicole Billingsley. She has an MBA. Cecilia
good for you.
Highscary. Zachary Lee, Connor Niv, Joshua Reyes, Brady Winder. There he is. And he didn't give me a name. Sorry,
Still
Brady.
didn't give it. God damn it, Brady.
You did it twice, man.
Son of a bitch, Brady.
You got one more at bat, Brady. You swing, I swear to fuck. Michelle Strain. Alicia with no last name. Tommy with no last name. Emma Sloan. 0-2 pitch. Catherine Cotton. Sarah with no last name. Whitney with no last name. Keith Bottles. Berna Hurtis. James Grimmer. Espectro Fumador. Jennifer Spradley, Mark Powers, Lindsay Prebe, Dave Kretzer, Charity Trunchin, Mark Taylor, OD. Is that, what's an OD? Is it operating doctor? What is that?
It's an OG's doctor.
Doctor. Original doctor. I hate everyone. Samesies. Amanda Louth, Danielle Guley, Christina Dabravanolnini. Lauren Gastley, Richard Turner, all right, Haley Bowden, Beth McDowell, Blake Andel, Adalia with no last name, Matt Betchard, Chris with no last name, Sawyer Pignona, Kristen Yates, Melissa Pfeiffer. David Dave, Stephen not Orndorff, Mandy, it's not, Mandy Edmiston, Edward Dickinson, Eli Babry, Bilbury, Brandon Dignitario, what is this? DG Antonio.
Oh, man, that's a tough one for Jim.
Dignitario? What am I doing? Tinsley Mellon, I'll bet you've gotten worse, Brandon. Shanna Pelote, Danielle with no last name, Joe Campbell, Hannah Greenwood, Jackie Shearer, MKDV40, Emily Bryan, Curtis Amiote, Casey Lloyd, Stellar Kelly, Gina, it's Gina, Adams, Drea Brennan, Nick Richards, my eyesight's getting worse as I age. Jigga with no last name. Clay Hardy. Sarah George. Chase Zink. Robert West. Danielle with no last name. Marie Vespa. Leah Schill. Tina Zelinka. Jonathan Bissett. Maybe Bissett. No, it's Bissett. Alexis Bowen. Chad Hughes. Giselle with no last name. Michael with no last name. Sarah Kleinman. Darlene with no last name. Tammy Chrysope. Bhumik Patel.
It's all falling apart, guys.
Mark King, Cayenne Ramutin, cool, Katie G, Amaya Charte, Carol Twerk, get after it, Carol. Jeremy Carswell, Becky with no last name, Jen with no last name, Bentley Posner, Stephanie White, Ruby with no last name, Amanda Machuk, Jessica Pinnell, Sean with no last name, Kendra Hokie, okay, Amy Alberson, Brandon Del Pie, Deborah Chamness, Violet Rose, Vanessa Sherry, Terry Bailey, Allie McDevitt, Andre Klee, Funky Boopster. All right. Rosa Muller, Mueller, and then also Shooter McGav. You guys, thank you so much. And also, obviously, our other patrons. You guys are the best.
Thank you, everybody, so much. We appreciate everything that you do for us. Yeah. Every second of the damn day. Keep hanging out with us. Keep coming back. Tell your friends. And if you want to follow us on social media, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Drop down menu. Keep doing all of that shit. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.